Dying sucks. But waking up to 2025 on your phone when you're supposed to be a corpse? Feng just got yeeted 3 years into the past. He doesn't get a single second to process it, because his sister just kicked the door and screaming at him. And here's the backstory you need. She was throwing every penny they had at a scumbag idol named Song Fai whose fan management style would not survive a background check. And when Feng tried to protect her from this parasite, she called him controlling and demanded more cash. So reborn Feng handles it the fast way, and she meets the floor. She's never been touched in her life and her brain cannot compute what just happened. He tells her if she opens her mouth one more time it's gonna get a lot uglier. Then throws the entire family inheritance at her feet, walks right to the door without a shred of hesitation, and tells her he no longer has a sister. Harsh? Absolutely. But hold that judgment for 1 second. In his first life, this man gave up every dungeon, every secret treasure, every path to power, all to babysit this girl. Not anymore. Sleeping pills, water, he's checking out. Because in this world, sleep is how you enter the game. And Feng's loading in with a full walkthrough. His sister's cut loose. And Song Fei, that man is already dead. He just doesn't know it yet. The game swallows him whole. Career choice hall. He's been here before and he's not wasting a single minute. Last time this idiot picked warrior just to carry his ungrateful sister. Never again. This life it's all about speed and reaction time. He locks in assassin without blinking, and then something happens that even he did not see coming. A divine artifact called the Eye of Judgment activates and binds to him right there. It followed him through death and rebirth. Maybe it's the whole reason he came back at all. Dark energy rips through his body like a firmware update from hell, and the system hands him a hidden profession. Nobody should have this early. Specialization complete. You have become Shadow, the absolute peak of the assassin class tree, and the gap between this and anything else is disgusting. Because the Eye of Judgment turns any tiny chance at a hidden class into a cold hard guarantee, and it carries something called primal authority. Power that literally sits above the rules of the entire game. In his past life, it took 7 years for anyone to even learn this power existed, and not a single player ever obtained it, until this maniac. System asks for a game alias. He types Shadow and yeah, the naming convention is maximum cringe, but he earned every letter. Welcome to the God's abandoned realm. A ruined wasteland crawling with things that eat your years. Shelltown. Safe zone. No dying, no fighting, no progress. Every other player here got dragged straight from their beds with zero preparation. And they're all staring at this hooded nightmare like he loaded in from a completely different game. People are already dying to level 1 mobs and respawning right back in town, screaming that a single bug deleted half their remaining years on this planet. And then Lizzie walks in and my entire thought process just shuts down permanently. But Feng is locked in. He notices she's carrying a longbow instead of a short one. Hidden class. She bounces up asking to party. And this man gives her the coldest rejection in recorded history. Her squad starts clowning on him for thinking he can solo content that wiped all 5 of them. Those green eyes could end civilizations, and right now they're aimed at Feng with nothing but contempt. But instead of walking away, she tells the boys to tail him. And that little smirk says she's not following for strategy. She wants to watch him bleed. Feng doesn't even acknowledge them. Just walks out like the final boss that he is. Lizzie trails behind, and honestly, she's more hazardous to my concentration than anything in this realm. Not that the monsters are a joke. The first mob out here team-wiped her entire squad in seconds. Her crew is losing it because his weapon, his speed, his whole fit is from a different tier. Lizzie decides tailing this mysterious shadow player is worth whatever danger comes with it. But Feng's assassin senses light up the second she gets close. She ducks behind a wall looking way too gorgeous to be pulling a stealth mission. But instead of confronting her, Feng activates Shadow Sneak and dissolves into the darkness like he was never standing there. Her whole group flatlines. The man literally evaporated in front of them. They scramble back to town while Feng watches from somewhere they will never find. Shadow Sneak plus Stealth Mastery. Invisibility that nothing in the early game can detect with a damage buff on exit. While everyone hides behind safe zone walls, this man walks the dead forest completely invisible. Timer ticks down, few heartbeats later, stealth resets. Infinite loop. And his stat sheet is genuinely criminal. Plus 8 agility just from the class alone. 5 free points to spend, and while every other noob dumps theirs into strength, every single one goes straight into agility. Because in this game, you cannot tank a single hit. You dodge or you donate your lifespan. Then something growls nearby, deep in the trees. Something big, something hungry. A crawler, drooling stolen life force between its teeth, eyes burning red. This one's already mid-evolution from eating 5 players alive. Every player these things swallow makes them stronger. And this one's been feasting. Feng drops from stealth and opens the fight with a clean first strike. The crawler swings back and Feng is already 3 steps behind it. Those red eyes lock onto the one spot that matters. He dips into the shadow beneath the beast and materializes directly above both of its screaming heads. Stealth break strike from the sky. 174 damage. Instant deletion. Genuinely the most disrespectful first kill I have ever witnessed. And Feng just stands there in the rain like it was a warm-up stretch. In his past life, his warrior barely survived a single one of these things. 40 damage on a crit, nearly dying every fight. Pathetic compared to this. Now the system deposits 54 years of stolen lifespan directly into his hands like a bonus check. Not everything the crawler ate, but for a single fight. That's an obscene return on investment, but the real prize triggers after. The Eye of Judgment fires off a brand new talent, Infinite Evolution. Upgrade any skill permanently. No cap, no ceiling. 5 evolution points to start with. This power never existed in his old timeline. Nobody in the entire world ever had access to this. Both his core skills jump a full tier instantly, and the stat gains are filthy, and now his stealth loops without a single gap. permanent invisibility. At level 1, is this balanced? Absolutely not. Right about then, some absolute clown strolls up nearby talking big, buff warrior type flexing on a girl promising to protect her with his incredible physique, but Feng spots something they absolutely do not. Glowing red eyes. Right above their heads. In the tree. And they have zero idea. Feng blurs in and drops one single word. Nurturer. The meathead thinks Feng vanished because he was intimidated by his muscles. This man is cooked because the actual threat just descended from the canopy on about 12 legs too many. And that right there is where we leave these poor fools. See you next episode. The Nurturer. Bronze grade boss. 1600 health points of pure nightmare fuel wrapped in about 12 legs too many. Normal rookies see this thing and immediately donate their lifespan to it. But Feng is already calculating from the shadows like a predator with a spreadsheet. And this maniac just dives straight in because he wants to field test his shiny new upgrades on a boss that eats entire parties for breakfast. Stealth Break Strike carves directly into the spider's face, and the thing screams like it just received its tax bill. Shadow Sneak fires off and this fool is weaving through the boss's own shadow like he pays rent there. 338 damage on a weak point hit, and the spider is absolutely losing its mind trying to find where that came from. He barely dodges and only takes 9 damage. But here's the terrifying part. He only has 130 HP total, so one clean hit from this boss would send him straight to the respawn screen. The Nurturer goes absolutely feral, swinging at everything within reach and painting the forest purple. But Feng already knows these monsters aren't brainless. They adapt, they learn, and this one just got very angry and very focused. It's carpet bombing the whole area to flush him out, and the little spiders are on full alert now, but this idiot has a theory he wants to test. The spider locks onto his position and charges, and Feng spirals a concentrated blast of energy directly into the one spot that matters most. 299 on a weak point. Just as he suspected, his damage is built entirely around the stealth ambush multiplier, which means his raw attack stat barely matters because all the damage comes from the class skill enhancements. This absolute genius realizes he could literally throw a rock and still shred, so that's exactly what he does. Waits for Shadow Sneak cooldown, pops out of stealth, and chucks a rock at a boss monster like he's playing fetch. 279 damage from a rock. It triggered ambush strike, backstab, and weak point bonuses all at once. This is genuinely the most disrespectful boss kill strategy I have ever witnessed. Then he just melts back into Shadow Sneak like nothing happened. Hide, wait for cooldown, pop out, throw another rock, vanish. This man turned a bronze boss fight into a drive-by stoning, and there's nothing the spider can do about it. Meanwhile, back in Shelltown, every single player's screen lights up with a leaderboard notification. Player Shadow has slain the Nurturer, first to reach level 2, #1 on the entire server, and the town collectively short-circuits. These clowns have been dying to regular mobs in full parties, and someone just soloed a boss. One name on the kill, no help. The copium in that town square is astronomical. And then Pear's group puts it together. Shadow is the guy who walked out alone, the one they all watched leave. Now they can't even handle normal mobs in a group, and this loner erased a boss by himself. Our buff warrior friend and his girl are standing there like, wait, someone killed that giant spider? Could it be that sketchy assassin from earlier? But forget what they think, because the loot screen Feng is staring at right now is absolutely disgusting. 300 EXP level 2 evolution points, a skill book, a bronze dagger, 46 years of tradable lifespan, and a system-wide announcement with his name on it. But the real treasure is Greedy Hand, an assassin skill that gives a 20% chance to double your loot on any kill. Feng's eyes go wide because he knows exactly what this skill becomes. In his past life, some mediocre fighter had this one skill and guilds were literally assigning him a personal bodyguard just to farm with him. The man became the most popular player in the game off loot luck alone. And then Feng's brain connects the dots. Greedy Hand plus unlimited evolution means he can boost the drop rate and loot quantity with zero ceiling. This fool is about to become an infinite loot printing machine. Now we cut to the real world for a second. School campus. Normal day. Except nothing about this world is normal anymore. Xiaoyu and her friend are walking to class, and the friend is like, hey, aren't you gonna apologize to your brother? You skipped the exam to go simp for Songfei. And Xiaoyu hits back with the coldest line. He's not even her real brother. Songfei is the only brother she needs. Meanwhile, her friend notices the bandage on her face and she says she tripped. Sure you did, sweetheart. They get to the school building and there's a massive crowd outside their classroom. Everyone is squeezed in, trying to see something, and the energy in that hallway is all wrong. Because one of their classmates just collapsed at his desk and he is not waking up. Worse than that, his body is turning semi-transparent, like a ghost. He said he wanted a nap and 5 minutes later he's dissolving. And it's not just him, it's all over the internet. People worldwide are falling asleep and going phantom. Nobody knows why yet, but the experts are already panicking. The friend says, call your parents, call your brother, stay safe. And Jiayu's response, a guy like him, it'd be better if he just dropped dead. This girl is ice cold toward the man currently grinding his way through a death game to protect her ungrateful self. Back in the game, Greedy Hand triggers for the first time and dumps 2 bonus evolution points plus 46 extra days of lifespan directly into Feng's pocket like a loyalty reward. 3 more points and Greedy Hand hits +3, which means 100% guaranteed bonus loot on every single kill. This moron is speedrunning the economy. He slaps on the corrosive dagger, +35 attack, +4 agility, and starts thinking bigger. Governments are catching on. More players are flooding in. The window to stay ahead is shrinking fast. Now here's where it gets genuinely terrifying. Feng knows something nobody else has figured out yet. Skills and equipment from this game can be extracted into the real world. Level 10 plus enough tradable lifespan. That's it. When the public finds out, absolute chaos. He needs stronger bosses and he needs them now. And then someone screams dodge from somewhere in the trees ahead. Watch out. A warning from deeper in the forest, and Feng stops dead because that's not a monster voice. A sprint predator, level 2 bronze boss. Red, skeletal, and currently trying to eat an entire party alive while a mage desperately slings fire in the background. And Feng doesn't look worried. He looks excited. Perfect timing is exactly what he's thinking. And honestly, hold on though. The guy tanking that thing is Wang Meng. Feng recognizes him instantly from his past life. This man assembled a full squad of 6 hidden class players before anyone else even knew hidden classes existed. Wang Meng screams Holy Barrier and steps directly into the monster's charge like he dares it to try. His hidden class, Holy Shield Warrior, has double the base stats of a normal warrior and comes preloaded with an invincibility skill. And behind him, the cutest witch I have ever seen in any manhwa is channeling a fireball that is absolutely not matching the adorable energy of that hat. 70 damage. From a hidden class mage, on a boss. That's their best hit, and it's basically a mosquito bite with extra steps. Her class is Prophet. Double the spell damage of a regular mage, built-in prophetic fireball, and 70 is still the best they can do. Puts Feng's numbers in perspective. The rest of the squad fills out every role. Sharp-eyed shooter for rapid fire, oracle priest for group heals, 6 hidden classes covering every angle and they're still barely scratching this thing. Fire and arrows are raining down on the sprint predator like a full party combo attack and the boss just tanks it while looking annoyed. Wang Meng takes a direct hit trying to block a charge and the impact sends sparks off his shield like a car crash. The archer and priest are panicking because the boss is too fast. Their ranged attacks keep whiffing and the DPS check is looking grim. Wang Meng calls for healers to keep him breathing while everyone else chips away. He thinks they can outlast it. Brave strategy. Stupid, but brave. Feng is watching all of this from stealth and his only thought is that Wang Meng's optimism is adorable. Because this fool forgot one critical detail. This is the wilds. Long fights attract company. And right on cue, something brown and slimy crawls up behind Wang Meng like the world's worst surprise party. Corruptors. Level 2 regular monsters covered in sludge that smells like a backed up sewer. And they attack from range. One of Wang Meng's teammates spots them and screams, "Boss, watch out," already pulling a dagger to hold the line. A hidden class rogue tears into a corruptor and Feng takes note from the shadows because that fighting style is from a class he hasn't seen before. 33 damage. That's it. The corruptor's defense is so high their hidden class fighter might as well be slapping it with a napkin. And then the corruptor retaliates, lunging at the rogue with those disgusting sludge arms like something out of a horror game. The sludge hits the ground and suddenly everyone's feet are glued. Ground bind. Movement speed tanked. And the smell alone should count as a debuff. And now the witch girl is trapped with a corruptor reaching for her face and she's screaming for help and I swear if anything happens to her I will personally enter this game. A blade rips through the corruptor from nowhere and the witch flinches as the monster gets peeled off her like a price tag. One shot, deleted. The corruptor evaporates and the entire team is standing there screaming who did that because nobody saw a thing. The rogue is in shock because their whole squad needs 10 seconds to kill a regular crawler, but a level 2 corruptor just got erased in one hit. The math is not mathing for these people. 441 on the next one. Feng is moving through their battlefield like an invisible lawnmower just deleting everything that isn't the boss. The team is yelling back and forth trying to spot their guardian angel and Wang Meng just shouts keep attacking, which honestly is the correct call even if his brain is definitely broken right now. With every corruptor cleared, Feng quietly collects the loot. EXP evolution points, a venom dart skill book, and 8 more days of lifespan. This ghost is getting paid while they do the heavy lifting. He evolves Venom Dart on the spot. Silver tier, 120 base damage, 14 meter range, 5-second cooldown, and it stacks a venom that burns 50% of the hit as damage per second. His skill is poison on steroids. Wang Meng tries to shield bash the sprint predator and takes a direct counter that sends blood flying across the mud. The boss skewers him clean through the torso and lifts him off the ground like a kebab. His shield drops. His HP is evaporating. The healer is panicking, green light flying everywhere. But the incoming damage is outpacing everything they can push out. Wang Meng, blood pouring out of his mouth, tells his entire team to run. This man is about to die protecting a bunch of hidden class users, and none of them have the DPS to save him. Then a green tip dart buries itself in the sprint predator's skull from absolutely nowhere. 845 damage in a single hit, and the boss stumbles backward like it forgot how legs work. The entire squad watches half the boss's HP bar vanish in one attack, and their brains collectively file for bankruptcy. The sprint predator is hemorrhaging green poison, legs buckling, staring at Wang Meng on the ground like it knows something went horribly wrong but can't figure out what. It opens its mouth to scream and all that comes out is venom and regret. 324, 324, 324. The poison ticks are hitting like a credit card statement and this boss is melting into the dirt. Dead. Level 3. 600 EXP. 2 more evolution points. 55 days of lifespan. And Feng just realized the venom damage over time triggers his class passive, which means he can stay invisible, throw poison darts forever, and nothing in the early or mid-game can stop him. Is this fair? Not even a little bit. Wang Meng is sitting in the mud bleeding everywhere, and his only thought is this person even human? Bro, you have no idea. And then the loot light vanishes. Gone. Feng already collected every piece of it from stealth. This invisible menace just swiped the rewards right off the corpse while the team was still processing what happened. Wang Meng struggles to his feet, coughing, and calls out to the empty forest, asking for the mystery savior's name. Genuinely wholesome energy from a man who almost became a boss's chew toy. And Feng's response from the shadows? Thank me. Out in the wilds, don't trust people so easily. Cold. Clinical. The whole squad just stares at the sky like they heard the voice of God and it had zero chill. Wang Meng introduces himself anyway, says if Feng ever needs anything, just find him. One of the kids even tries to send a friend request. Feng tells them to move along. Social skills of an absolute brick wall. But once they leave, Feng actually considers the offer. Wang Meng has government resources backing him. Reliable, connected, and not a complete fool. The perfect customer for all the gear Feng can't use himself. Greedy hand fires off again on the sprint predator's body. 3 bonus evolution points, another 55 days of lifespan, and a pair of assassin-class leather greaves that boost cooldown speed by 15%. This loot skill is practically printing money. Inventory is stacked. Skill books, gear from every class, lifespan for days. Time to head back to Shelltown and convert all of this into the one resource that actually matters. And Feng stands in the rain, golden light still fading around him, and says the quiet part out loud. His growth this time is 100 times faster than his past life. Song Fei, he's coming. And that is where we leave this monster of a man for now. Meanwhile, the rest of the server is getting absolutely mauled out in the wilds because the monsters just keep spawning in waves, and this poor fool behind his shield is screaming for everyone to run. The whole squad turns tail and bolts, mage and all, and honestly respect for knowing when you're outmatched. But then they look up, and standing in front of them is something that makes every boss so far look like a tutorial mob. This thing erupts with purple energy like it just hit its final phase, and nobody even got it to phase 1 yet. Purple beams rain down, and these players get shredded like they were standing in a blender set to maximum. And they all respawn back in Shelltown, gasping on the cobblestone like fish yanked out of water. One of them is losing his mind because the monsters flee when they get low, and you need level 3 to leave this game alive. They figure maybe a bigger team would work, 6 or 10 people, but the other guy shuts that down immediately because he watched a 10-man squad get erased. And if you bring too many people, you attract a boss. 40 players rolled up on something called the Damned, and it deleted over 30 of them with a single ability. Now here's where the existential dread kicks in. They're only here as consciousness. Their real bodies are asleep, which means if they can't reach level 3 and leave, their physical bodies starve to death. And this blonde girl, Sister Lee, has already burned through 3 deaths, and her team has less than 10 years of tradable life between them. They literally cannot afford to die again. But then she pulls up the leaderboard, and sitting at number 1 is Shadow Assassin class, level 3. Everyone else is still stuck at level 1, and this maniac is already at the exit. So she gets this look in her eye like a woman who just found the cheat code to survival and decides they need to find this shadow guy and make him carry them out. Her pitch? 10 million in real-world cash the moment they get back to reality. And even she admits that kind of money would make anyone pay attention. Meanwhile, Feng is out in the rain, treating contaminators like target practice and burying a green dart straight through another one's skull. 20 EXP, 1 more evolution point, and just like that he's hit the threshold he's been grinding toward. This man farms with surgical precision. He dumps all 5 points into Hand of Avarice and evolves it from Platinum to Jade. 160% chance for bonus loot with a 20% chance to bump its rarity up a tier. This skill is an entire economy. And Feng is already running the math, wondering if he pushes this skill further, could it hit 100% or even 200% rarity upgrades. This fool wants to break the loot table entirely. But then something catches his attention through the rain and his whole body goes still. The Damned, the exact boss that wiped 40 players off the map, is standing right there like a nightmare wrapped in too many eyeballs. Bronze level boss, currently digesting all the lifespan it stole from that wipe and actively evolving towards silver. This thing is leveling up from eating people, and for the first time Feng actually hesitates. Not because he's scared, but because his backpack is full, and even if he kills it, he can't pick anything up. The greed is real. So he pins the location on his map, dips into Elite Shadow Stealth, and decides to empty his bags first, then come back for seconds. This boss is basically on layaway. Back in Shelltown, where everyone else is panicking about survival, the rumor mill is going absolutely insane. Someone's offering 10 million for Shadow. The commoners are crying about never escaping, and the whole town square is a mess of desperation. And then Feng just materializes in the middle of town with shadow tendrils swirling around him like he owns the server, and everyone nearby loses their composure. He pulls up the cell interface because this man did not come here to socialize. Equipment and skill sale, 10 minutes only. Feng sets up shop on the ground like a black market dealer at a flea market, and the entire town converges. The crowd immediately clocks 2 full sets of bronze gear and starts screaming because the name above the stall says Shadow. The number 1 player is literally right there running a yard sale. Someone asks why they can't see his face, and the crowd explains he's using the hide face function, which means his real appearance is hidden, and then she walks up. Red hair, mage staff, corset situation that the artist clearly put overtime into, and I need everyone to understand that this woman just appeared out of nowhere and my train of thought is gone. Feng immediately identifies her as Grey Rose, ranked 11th in Shell Village, also hiding her face. She wants the Ice Cone spell, and the price is 100 days of tradable life. She tries to haggle, and honestly, watching her lean in like that, I'd sell it for free, but Feng tells her it's already cheap for what it does. This man has ice in his veins and clearly better priorities than mine. She asks if she can pay with real money, and Feng goes no, buy tradable life from other players, then come back. But he offers to hold it for her if nobody outbids. Businessman mentality from start to finish. She pauses. And listen, I am looking at this face and these eyes through that veil, and respectfully, this woman could charge me 100 days of life. She checks with her team and they all agree. Getting to level 3 and out of this death trap matters more than hoarding life currency. She hands over the 100 days, and Feng's running internal calculations because a level 2 team has definitely killed 30 or 40 trackers minimum, meaning they can absolutely afford this. Sale confirmed. Ice Cone spell gone. Tradable life jumps from 268 to 368 days. This man is stacking lifespan like a retirement fund. And then our blonde friend from earlier crashes the party. Jiang Li storms up and goes, "Finally, I found you, Shadow," and both Feng and Grey Rose are caught off guard. She hits him with the full pitch. "Take me to level 3, and when we get back to reality, I'll hand you 10 million in cash." And the confidence on this girl is genuinely unmatched. The whole crowd is gawking because the 10 million rumor was actually real, and everyone's mentally calculating how fast they could sell their souls for that kind of bag. But Feng recognizes her instantly. Jiang Li, in his past life, this woman ran a full criminal organization, used cash to bait people into working for her, kidnapped the ones who refused, and killed anyone who stepped out of line. Keep your eye on this one. One word: scum. Then I reject it. That might be the coldest shutdown any character has delivered in this entire manhwa, and there is serious competition. She doubles down, promises him cars, houses, women, the whole package, and Feng doesn't even blink. Cash is worthless. The only currency that matters now is tradable life. Move along. And this girl has the audacity to call him trash and threaten that she'd teach him a lesson in the real world. "Ma'am, you are negotiating with a man who solos bosses for breakfast." Feng's eye lights up gold and he tells her one more word and he will farm her lifespan down to 0. That is not a threat, that is a promise with a delivery date. Killing intent pours off him like a physical force and Jiang Li's entire crew freezes solid. Every single one of them just felt the temperature drop about 40 degrees. She screams, "Let's go," and they all scramble out of there like roaches when the light turns on. 10 million means nothing when the guy can literally end your existence. Feng clears out every last item, pushes his tradable life to 546 days and turns toward the forest because the damned still has an appointment with his blade. And here's the thing nobody in this entire game knows yet. Tradable life can extract skills into reality. He vanishes into stealth right in front of everyone, and the crowd stands there whispering because the legacy they were once proud of is about to mean nothing. In this world, the only thing that matters is your own strength. And Feng has more of it than anyone can measure. Now while Feng is off collecting his appointment with the damned, Jiang Li and her bodyguard are stumbling through town gasping for air like they just ran a marathon from their own embarrassment. And this girl is fuming. She's swearing Shadow not only rejected her offer but threatened her, and she's already planning to hunt him down in reality. "Ma'am, your survival instincts are genuinely broken." But before she can finish plotting her revenge, some random dude pops out of nowhere like, "Hey, Sister Li," and she spins around like she's been caught. This fool introduces himself as Lao Mao, claims he's level 2, says he knows a few tricks to level up, and then immediately asks if that $1 million offer is still on the table. Jiang Li's like, "What tricks?" And this clown leans in all smooth saying he doesn't share secrets with just anyone, but since it's Sister Li, he'll make an exception. The hustle is transparent and she's eating it up. His grand strategy: dump all 5 starting attribute points into agility. That's it. That is the entire playbook this man is selling for millions. He explains that maxing agility lets you outrun the trackers, and Jiang Li's jaw drops like she just heard classified military intel when this is literally the tutorial tip nobody bothered reading. She already wasted her points on strength, but she's impressed enough to hire him anyway. And this fool goes, "At least someone with knowledge finally showed up," like he just landed a Fortune 500 consulting gig. She haggles him down to 5 million. Since he's obviously not Shadow tier, he instantly agrees. And then she calls Feng mentally unstable for turning down 10 million. The irony of this woman trusting a stranger over the rank 1 player is genuinely staggering. Speaking of the rank 1 player, Feng just arrived at his dinner reservation and he is not waiting to be seated. The damned has already promoted itself to silver rank, still wrapped in gray fog and actively evolving. This thing ate 40 players and used that XP to speedrun its own upgrade path. Feng calculates the jump from silver to gold takes 7 or 8 hours, charges up a poison dart, and decides he does not feel like waiting. Patience is for people who aren't carrying Jade-level skills. Stealth Strike connects and the damage number reads 659. He just walked up to a silver boss and slapped it across the face like it owed him rent. And the poison kicks in, stacking 219 after 219 after 219, bleeding this thing's health bar like a faucet somebody forgot to close. Feng chains into latent image, whipping through the rain like a shadow with a receipt for everything this boss stole. Now here's the catch. A silver boss has 2 to 3 times the health of a bronze one. So even with these numbers, the damned is still standing and it is not happy about any of this. Purple energy starts building over its head like a satellite dish charging a death laser, and the entire forest lights up in violet. The damned unleashes everything it has, and Feng already knows he only needs 2 or 3 more poison darts to close this out. Purple destruction tears through the ground, and Feng barely slips past it because this thing fights like a magic class raid boss that skipped every balance patch. Feng breaks it down cold. The damned is a magic type boss, all area attacks, all massive damage, and if a single one had connected with his current stats, he would be a corpse right now. But the boss fires off another barrage anyway because raid bosses do not care about your internal monologue. The whole fight is a rhythm game now. Feng has to wait for Hidden Shadow's cooldown, then punish the boss during its recovery window and pray he doesn't get clipped in between. The second that cooldown expires, he goes invisible and bails out of range while the damned stands there confused, swinging at nothing like a drunk bouncer. And there it is, the opening. Feng's eyes lock on, poison dart ready, and every fiber of this man screams now. Stealth strike critical hit. 659 carved right out of its remaining health, and this boss just got its eviction notice served in green ink. Poison stacks flood in again. 219 after 219, and the damned is screaming into the rain because there is nothing it can do about the ticking damage eating it alive. Feng floats above the battlefield watching this silver rank nightmare crawl on the ground beneath him, and the power gap is honestly disrespectful at this point. The boss is nearly dead and has already started trying to flee. A silver rank boss, running from 1 player. Let that sink in. Feng watches it stumble away, and compared to its desperate struggle to survive, he finds this almost boring. Surrendering makes things easier for me. That is what he says before detonating this thing into a puddle of purple mist. Most disrespectful finish in the entire server, and nobody was even alive to witness it. Kill confirmed. 1800 XP, 2 levels gained instantly, 4 evolution points, and 124 days of tradable life. This moron just speedran a silver boss solo and got rewarded like he cleared the whole expansion. But Feng is not done collecting. He activates Hand of Avarice, and a massive golden fist materializes in the sky, because why kill a boss once when you can shake its corpse for spare change? Hand of Avarice pays out 2 extra rounds of rewards, and the final tally is 12 evolution points and 372 days of tradable life from a single kill. This skill is actual theft. On top of that, the skill's passive kicks in and upgrades one of the loot drops from silver to gold. 20% chance and it procs first try because this man's RNG is playing favorites. Only problem is 7 or 8 pieces of gear dropped and his backpack only holds 10 slots. This fool is literally too rich for his own inventory and he's hoping the next boss drops a storage ring. But then he picks up something from the pile and stops cold, because whatever this is just made every other drop irrelevant. Meanwhile, back in town, Grey Rose respawns gasping about being alive again, and I need everyone to understand this woman just sat up in a corset and the artist made absolutely certain we would notice. Welcome back, Queen, we missed you for 3 whole panels. Cut to Wang Meng's squad celebrating because they finally hit level 3, and his teammates are singing his praises like he just carried them through a ranked match. This dude is the solid number 2 the server doesn't appreciate enough, and there's Grey Rose again regretting that she didn't add Shadow as a friend, wondering if maybe her outfit was the problem and thinking a wardrobe change might seal the deal. Girl, he rejected 10 million. A new blouse is not moving the needle. Then the leaderboard updates for the entire server and every soul in Shelltown sees it. Rank 1, Shadow, Assassin, level 5. 2 full tiers above everyone else who just barely crawled to 3. The town square erupts. People are screaming about how he jumped from 3 to 5, someone's offering up his 18-year-old sister to get on the expert's good side. And another guy points out if he doesn't care about 10 million, he definitely does not care about your sister, bro. Wang Meng's crew is standing there in existential crisis because they busted their backs to reach level 3, and this phantom is already at 5. One of them genuinely asks, is he even going to let us exist? But Wang Meng pulls himself together and refocuses the group. Forget Shadow for now, the priority is logging back into reality and warning their families about what this game actually is. Because once word gets out that people's consciousness is trapped and their real bodies are wasting away, the world outside is going to collapse into absolute chaos. They agree to leave the game and prepare the people they love. And just like that, we snap to the real world. Wang Meng wakes up in what looks like a hospital bed, clutching his head, because re-entering your own body after a death game apparently hits like the worst hangover of your life. His colleagues immediately swarm him, yelling that Brother Wang has awakened and to alert the captain, which means this dude is not just a warrior in the game, he's some kind of officer in real life. They tell him he turned semi-transparent while he was under, and everyone was losing their minds watching his physical body flicker like a bad signal. This game is not just trapping consciousness, it's doing something to people's actual flesh. Someone screams to gather everyone because something serious just happened, and that order echoes through what is clearly a government building. The real world is about to find out what the game already knows, and nobody on either side is ready for what comes next. So Wang Meng's debriefing kicks off at the police station, and his superiors are already drilling him about the hidden profession team getting wiped and the mystery player who bailed them out. Wang Meng confirms it, codenamed Shadow, and drops the bombshell that when Shadow rescued them, he was only level 3, but by the time their squad barely scraped to 3, this maniac had already hit 5. His commanding officer nearly chokes because level 5 would make this guy the first in the entire world. And Wang Meng just casually guesses, yeah, he probably soloed a boss or something. But here's what nobody can figure out. If Shadow was already level 3 an hour ago, why hasn't he logged back to reality? And Wang Meng just closes his eyes and says maybe he genuinely doesn't have anyone waiting for him out here. Then out of nowhere, this cute officer chimes in asking if Shadow could be a time traveler because apparently orphans with cheat knowledge is her entire reading list. She tilts her head with this smug little grin like, am I not right? And I need everyone to appreciate that the government is employing someone who diagnoses isekai protagonists for a living. Her boss immediately shuts her down, telling her to read fewer novels because this is a serious moment, and Anyu just sticks her tongue out like a scolded puppy who knows she had a point. But then the captain's tone drops because the intelligence they've gathered confirms Wang Meng's account, and new investigations reveal that some elderly people have already died shortly after falling asleep. They cross-reference everyone who returned to reality, and the pattern is undeniable. Every single one of those people died multiple times in the game, meaning if your life counter hits 0 in Abandoned by God, you flatline for real. One officer calls it a supernatural event beyond human understanding, and the captain agrees, saying they are very likely experiencing an invasion from unknown forces. Emergency orders come down from the top and they go full war room. Advanced teams must be formed immediately to explore the game and gather intel, and a professional army needs to be assembled yesterday. Because this is not a local problem, every single country on the planet is scrambling to crack Abandoned by God open, and whoever falls behind loses the geopolitical advantage, so information must be obtained at any cost. And then the captain does something nobody expected. He names Anyu as the leader of Team 1, and she snaps to attention like a soldier who just got handed the keys to the kingdom, with Wang Meng as her second in command. Wang Meng just says received with this subtle smirk that tells you this man already has plans cooking behind those eyes. The captain explains his reasoning. Wang Meng describes Shadow as not a bad person, so unused personality makes her ideal for getting close, and her primary mission is to uncover Shadow's real identity and establish government cooperation with him. Everyone else is tasked with maintaining social stability, because once the public finds out people are dying in their sleep, this city is going to tear itself apart, and with that the meeting wraps. Now while the government is gearing up for interdimensional warfare, we cut to what looks like a college dormitory at sunset, where a group of girls are panicking because apparently if people in the same area fall asleep at the same time, they spawn in the same starting town, and one of them is terrified her parents have never touched a video game in their lives. But then we meet this girl checking her phone, looking absolutely furious, because Qinfeng hasn't shown any sign of life, and she's genuinely offended that he still hasn't come to apologize to her. She flashes back to how Feng used to always calm her down whenever she got angry, but this time not only did he not comfort her, he actually hit her, and even her own parents never laid a hand on her. And all of this was apparently because she skipped class to go see some idol's concert, so now she's demanding 1,000 apologies or she will never forgive him, which is absolutely the math of someone who has never been told no. But then her mood shifts because she realizes that at least she got to see her precious Song Fei yesterday, and with this whole abandoned by God catastrophe, she probably would never have gotten another chance. And here's the concert memory: Song Fei on stage performing in a red suit with neon lights going absolutely wild, and the crowd is losing their collective minds. Close up on this idol giving the camera a wink with hearts floating everywhere, and look, I am not the target audience here, but I understand the grip this man has on these women. Xiaoyu is full on crying, saying she misses him so much, and this girl has it catastrophically bad for an idol she has never spoken a single word to, which is honestly the most relatable thing in this entire manhwa. Then suddenly a light bulb flickers on behind those teary eyes, because if everyone enters the game when they sleep, that means Song Fei must be trapped in there too, and the bandage on her cheek from where Feng hit her is still visible, which makes this scene way sadder than it should be. This girl is now vibrating with excitement because if she enters the game, she can actually find her idol in person, and the entire apocalypse just became her personal fan meeting. So she immediately starts getting changed, and yes, the artist made sure to show us her back in a bra, because this is still a manhwa, and the priorities remain absolutely transparent, but she's chatting up Zhang Wei for game tips since he hit level 3. Cut to Zhang Wei's side where his classmates are crowding around him like he's some kind of gaming prophet, and his phone buzzes with a message calling him Great Master. And the second this fool sees that it's Qin Ziyu messaging him, his brain immediately goes full predator mode, thinking this is his chance to conquer the campus goddess, which is genuinely the most disgusting simp energy I have witnessed in 5 episodes. Xiaoyu's lying in bed texting, and Zhang Wei feeds her the exact same agility strategy Feng sold for millions, telling her to dump all starting points into speed, and she's eating it up like this is classified intel. He even promises that once someone hits level 5, the town teleportation portal unlocks, and he'll personally come carry her through the game, and she just yells yeah, like she won the lottery, not knowing this man's intentions are filthier than any monster in that dungeon. Xiaoyu curls up in bed satisfied that her fan connections came through, talks trash about Feng one last time, saying she'll be so far ahead, he won't be worth her time, and decides to enter the game right now, not knowing her brother is literally the #1 player on the entire server. Meanwhile, back in the game, our boy Feng is crouched in the rain staring at the glowing loot drops from the damned, and whatever he just picked up has him speechless. It's a gold rank ring called the Damned Ring, plus 8 to every single attribute for 32 total bonus points, which is the equivalent of leveling up 3 entire times just by putting on jewelry, and on top of that, it boosts weak point damage multiplier from 1.5 to 1.6. But wait, there's more, because this absolute hoarder also pulled a silver skill book called Instant Cut, a dash that lets you blink 15 meters while going invisible for 5 seconds, and carving 3 guaranteed back attack slashes into everything in your path. Feng takes one look at the description, area damage plus mobility plus stealth all in one package, and immediately consumes it, because when the game hands you a cheat code you do not ask questions. Then he dumps 8 evolution points into Hand of Avarice, promoting it from Jade to Diamond tier, and now that skill has up to a 220% chance of pulling extra loot with a 40% upgrade rate, meaning every monster he kills is basically a slot machine that only hits jackpots. With 4 points left, he feeds 3 into Instant Cut and rams it all the way to Platinum, 5 slashes per dash, 21 meter range, 7 seconds of invisibility, 200 damage per hit, and now killing one monster is worth 3 because of the double loot passive. The only downside is the cooldown didn't drop, which annoys him for about half a second before he realizes that Instant Cut alone gives him permanent invisibility, since the stealth outlasts the cooldown gap, so nothing can even see him anymore. He sorts through the rest of the loot and calls most of it garbage, though a Silver Warrior skill book called Battle Cry could fetch decent money on the market, because this man treats legendary drops the way I treat loose change. Then Feng freezes because something just moved in the trees and the rain is not loud enough to cover whatever that sound was. 3 massive crimson spider creatures come crashing through the canopy, and these things look like someone designed a nightmare with too many legs and not enough mercy. Level 4 assembled crawler, and Feng's first thought is not, oh no, it's perfect timing, let me use this thing as a test dummy, and he rips Instant Cut straight through the monster's body like it owes him money. 125, 125, 125, 3 slashes carve through the crawler in a blur of blue light, and this thing gets absolutely disassembled before it can process what decade it just got hit from. Kill confirmed, 80 XP and 5 days of transferable life from what took him about 2 seconds of actual effort. Feng calculates that his kill speed has gone through the roof, and he no longer needs 2 poison darts to finish a mob, but the real number on his mind is 900, because that's how many days of transferable life he needs to start extracting gear and skills into the real world, and he's sitting at 618. So the plan is simple: go back to town, sell everything clogging his inventory, farm the gap, and once he hits level 10, he can pull game skills and equipment into reality. Feng's still deep in the forest grinding through the rain when he comes across something interesting. Turns out this fool ran into the Shanghai company team again, and he's already congratulating their leader on hitting level 3 while casually asking if she'll keep her end of some deal they made. The company rep tells him to relax, assuring him Shanghai wouldn't cheat him over pocket change, then hands over her real-world phone number and offers to buy any transferable life days he's got at 10,000 each. And her partner over here is laughing about how Shadow is an idiot with no vision for not partnering with a great businesswoman like her. This clown's whole philosophy is that lifespan is farmable, but converting game skills into real cash. That's the real Galaxy brain play, and he genuinely believes he's the smartest person in this entire death game. Meanwhile, Feng heads back to Shell Village and the medieval town stretches out in front of him, with that castle spire in the background looking like a whole theme park. First stop is the town portal, and he reaches out toward the glowing blue gateway to activate it. The thing roars to life with enough energy to light up the entire square. And just like that, Shell Village's teleportation portal is officially online. But here's the catch: these starter village portals are bidirectional, so someone from another village needs to hit level 5 and activate theirs too, and Feng already knows from his past life that Song Fei was in Firefly Village, so he sets an alert for when that portal goes live. Still, hopping between starter villages is pointless right now because the real objective is hitting level 10 and making it to the continent abandoned by the gods. And that continent right there, that crumbling haunted ruin of a place, is where the actual game begins, and everything up until now has been the tutorial. But before any of that, he's got inventory to dump, so Feng sets up shop in the middle of town square with a 10-minute flash sale, and every player in the area immediately loses their collective minds, screaming that the Master of Shadows is back. These people saved up 150 life days just waiting for his next drop, and last time his Ice Cone spell launched Grey Rose straight to second on the entire leaderboard, so now they're praying for another mage skill book, but all he's got is the warrior class war cry. Some warrior snatches the book before anyone else can breathe, and 300 transferable life days hit Feng's account like a direct deposit from heaven. The onlookers are sweating over whether 300 life days for a single skill book is even worth it, but the smart ones know that war cry doubles warrior farming efficiency, so you'd earn it all back in 2 days. And now the whole crowd is just screaming over each other. Everyone wants the magic robe, the shoes, everything, and this flash sale is turning into Black Friday at a weapons depot. Sold out in 60 seconds flat for 650 life days total, bringing Feng to 2174 transferable days, but he's still not satisfied because extracting levels, gear, and skills into reality costs way more than that. That's when a red-haired girl pushes through the crowd and tells him she's got a treasure she wants to offer. Now hold on, because this girl is genuinely cute and she's holding up a space ring, which is a 12-slot storage accessory that doesn't take up any equipment or backpack space. And the fact that she got this drop, Feng's eye goes wide the instant he identifies what she's holding, because a space ring at this stage of the game is not supposed to exist. In his past life, one of these 12-slot rings sold for over 3,600 life days. The drop rate is practically non-existent, and this soothsayer class girl just casually pulled one from a random monster like it was spare change. But here's where it gets interesting, because she doesn't want his life days at all. She just wants to add him as a friend and have him join her to kill a boss, which might be the most wholesome trade deal in this entire death game. Feng accepts without hesitation, and a notification pops up that the player Big Black Plum has been added as a friend, which is genuinely one of the best gamer tags I have ever seen on a cute mage girl. She tells him the boss is gold level, sitting on some old rundown boat in the middle of a swamp near a cliff, and Feng immediately starts piecing together exactly what she found. An old rundown boat? Feng's brain locks in instantly because there's only one thing that matches that description. The Golden Ghost Ship, a stupidly rare special boss that can spawn at any level, drops insane unique items, and in the endgame entire guilds would wage full-scale wars just for the chance to fight it, but here in a starter village at level 5 it's the weakest it will ever be. And the fact that this girl stumbled onto a Golden Ghost Ship, already owns a space ring, and happens to be on Wang Meng's team is making something click in Feng's head, because he remembers a very specific rumor from his past life. The legendary Golden Carp, a player from Wang Meng's squad with luck so absurd she would just wander around and accidentally trip over rare bosses, Feng straight up asks her how she even found a gold level boss this early. And this girl with the most innocent face in the world just says she went for a walk because her teammates were too slow logging in, and she happened to find a giant boss under a cliff while enjoying the scenery. Feng's mind is racing because in his past life he thought the Golden Carp rumors were just a cover story the developers planted, but now he's standing right next to the actual source and her luck is apparently real. It's her, it's actually her, and she's staring at him confused, asking why he's looking at her like that, completely unaware that Feng just identified her as one of the most valuable players in the entire game. He plays it cool, mutters that it's nothing, and the two of them head out through the village gates while some random dude watches them leave together. Now here's where problems start brewing, because outside the village there's this absolute waste of experience points with spiky hair giving a motivational speech about how he used to run Arena City, promising his boys they'll live like kings, and then one of them reports that Shadow just left the village with a girl. This degenerate's immediate conclusion is that Feng must be a newbie who couldn't resist dating a girl already, and he tells his crew to follow with the most punchable grin I have ever seen in this manhwa. Meanwhile, Feng and Plum are working out the loot terms. He'll solo the boss and she keeps whatever drops fit her class while everything else goes to him, and when she asks about Wang Meng's team, he points out mixed parties means some classes get nothing. Her one request is that if anything drops for Wang Meng's crew, Feng sells it to them at a discount, which honestly makes her the most loyal teammate in this entire server, and she's blushing while she asks. Deal accepted, and they push deeper into the forest toward the gold boss, but when Plum innocently asks where they're headed and he says they're gonna fight it right now, her brain needs a second to catch up, because the realization just hit her that he's planning to fight a gold level boss without waiting for backup. She's panicking because he's an assassin and she's a mage with zero survivability, but Feng just tells her to sit somewhere safe and watch because he's handling this alone. One man soloing a gold level boss. She knows he's strong, but even she thinks this is crossing the line between confidence and complete insanity. And honestly, she might be right, but that's never stopped Feng before. Then blue flames spiral at his feet and Feng vanishes into thin air right in front of her, because stealth is apparently just how he commutes now. And now Plum is standing alone in the rain screaming for the Grandmaster because the man just evaporated like he was never there to begin with. Which is exactly what the Thug Squad was waiting for, because they spot the shadow vanish and their boss immediately assumes he tricked the girl and ditched her in the wilderness like some kind of dating scam. And then this absolute piece of garbage tells his boys to capture her and have some fun, promising them women in power like he's running some kind of medieval frat house. And every single one of these clowns needs to be deleted from the server permanently. They rush in with shields and weapons thinking they're about to score the easiest target of their lives. Except there's a cloaked figure materializing right behind them that they absolutely did not account for. The thug boss barely gets a syllable out before blue slash marks rip across his field of vision, and his brain finally registers that something went catastrophically wrong. Instant cut tears through the entire squad in one burst, and these fools get speedrun into the respawn screen so fast they probably didn't even see the death notification. Blue light carves through every single one of them like a receipt being printed for services they absolutely did not request. 5 players dead, 12 transferable life days collected, and Feng is standing over the thug boss's dissolving body, calling them pathetic because killing 5 grown men was apparently less effort than swatting a mosquito. He pops back out of stealth next to Plum, who's been panicking this whole time, and casually explains that some people were following them, so he sent them back to the village. Plum starts rambling about how his invisibility must be great for bathroom breaks and whether things become visible once they leave his body, and Feng, who just committed a quintuple homicide 30 seconds ago, simply tells her to shut up and guide him to the boss. Now while Feng is out there committing boss genocide, the game cuts to someone else entirely, and this girl just spawned in with a magic circle under her feet and a glowing staff that looks way too powerful for a newcomer. She's geeking out about how realistic everything feels, gripping that staff like she just won the lottery, while a couple players nearby clock the new arrival, and this girl just casually unlocked a hidden class called Priestess of Life, which is already absurd, but the first thing on her mind is whether some guy named Song Fai knows the secret to the initial point distribution. Then she starts going off about how Qin Feng is an unreliable idiot who always tries to control everything. And now that she has a hidden class and Zhang Wei's backing, she's done babysitting him, which is genuinely hilarious considering Feng is currently the strongest player on the entire server. She pulls up the leaderboard and her jaw practically unhinges because Shadow is sitting at rank 1, level 6, 2 full levels above everyone else like he's speedrunning a different game entirely. Now she's doing the math, realizing Zhang Wei at level 3 is basically a fraud compared to this Shadow guy, and she's already scheming about how to find this mysterious expert and ditch her current arrangement entirely. Meanwhile, across the village, Wang Meng's crew is scrambling because they can't reach their missing teammate oscillating with the wind, and the panic is starting to set in. They can't kill monsters without a healer, and they're not like Shadow, who apparently runs the whole game solo. So someone suggests they recruit a new healer before they fall even further behind. And right on cue, Ponytail Guy walks up with a casual hello like the timing was scripted. Because right behind him is the priestess girl, smiling all sweet, asking if they need a healer and flexing her hidden class like a resume she knows nobody can compete with. But forget all that, because we're cutting back to the main event where Feng and Plum are standing on the edge of a cliff in a downpour that looks like the sky is trying to drown them personally. And there it is floating in the murky swamp below, the Golden Grade ghost ship. A rotting boat with a skeleton captain and a green lantern that screams "Do not approach unless you want to die." Feng tells Plum to stay hidden and watch for surprise attacks while he handles the boss alone, and she just wishes him luck like she's sending a soldier off to war. Feng drops in and the system immediately warns him this entire zone is a rage zone where life drains 100 times faster. But this fool does the math and decides 15 minutes per life day is pocket change for what he's about to collect. The boss scan reads level 5, gold grade special, with 45 minutes on the clock before it despawns, and that skeleton captain standing on its rotting deck with a scythe looks like it was designed to give players nightmares. 45 minutes is more than enough, and the look in Feng's eyes says this boss is already dead, it just doesn't know it yet. Instant cut rips through the darkness and carves into the ghost ship like Feng is trying to repossess it on behalf of the ocean. 549, 549, 549, the damage numbers are stacking on the skeleton captain so fast the system can barely keep up with the receipts. Feng follows up with poison dart, weaving through the skeleton's counterattack like the boss is swinging at a memory of where he used to be. Silent attack drops 621 damage on the weak point, and this boss is hemorrhaging health like someone opened a drain at the bottom of its HP bar. Now here's where Feng's past life knowledge goes from useful to unfair, because most players would waste time attacking the skeleton, but the real weak spot is the phantom firebell at the bow of the ship, and Feng's been drilling it since the first second. Problem is, when you hit that weak point, the skeleton goes berserk and starts controlling the surrounding water, which is the ghost ship's way of saying you just made a terrible mistake. Massive water columns erupt around the entire swamp like the earth just decided to unswallow the ocean, and the ghost ship is sitting in the middle of a liquid fortress. Those water jets would one-shot any warrior without full silver gear, but the shadow class agility stat is just barely high enough to thread the needle between getting soaked and getting obliterated. The ship slams back down and the skeleton captain is swinging wildly, throwing everything it has at an enemy it cannot see or touch. Third phase, and this is where normal groups wipe, because the ship summons 12 rotten aquatic ghosts that claw out of the swamp like the world's worst pool party, each one hitting as hard as a silver grade boss. These 12 nightmares swarm everything in sight. They shred equipment, they respawn every 3 minutes, and for any regular team this is the point where someone says we should retreat and everyone agrees. But Feng is permanently invisible, which means these undead losers are clawing at empty air while he casually repositions to line up the perfect angle on every single one of them. Instant cut detonates through all 12 ghosts simultaneously, and the damage numbers read like a phone number, 1123, 1052, 1201, every single one of them deleted in a single swing. Plum is watching from the cliff as damage numbers rain across the swamp like a fireworks show, and this girl is standing there speechless because she just witnessed one man dismantle an encounter designed for an entire raid. She's losing her mind, screaming that this is the #1 player on the leaderboard. The boss has already lost a third of its health and it cannot fight back because Feng is appearing and vanishing like the concept of fairness simply doesn't apply to him. And then out of nowhere, Feng messages Plum with the most ominous 4 words in gaming history, Xiaohei. He tells her not to do anything, just wait for the revive, like dying to a gold grade boss is a scheduled appointment he penciled in between lunch and dinner. Plum is freaking out, asking why he'd let himself die when he's winning, and also demanding to know what Xiaohei means, because her name is Haibulin Dalizi, not Little Black. That sounds like a dog's name, and Feng just goes alright, Xiaohei. And honestly, this is the funniest duo in the entire game. But while Plum is arguing about pet names, boots are hitting the ground behind her. Because the thug boss from earlier, the one Feng sent to the respawn screen, is back with a whole army and he's furious, ranting about how he used to conquer entire cities and now he's getting humiliated by a level 6 nobody. His scouts found Plum alone at the cliff edge and spotted Shadow down below soloing the gold boss. So this genius decides now's the perfect time for revenge with his full crew behind him. Meanwhile, back in the swamp, the ghost ship enters its 4th and nastiest phase. The phantom firebell erupts with green energy and the skeleton captain starts charging purple death magic like it's been saving its best move. Feng knows exactly what's coming because this is the most dangerous part of the entire fight and the reason he told Plum he was about to die. At half health, the gold ghost ship unleashes a wide-range soul wave that blankets the entire arena in purple energy, and there is literally nowhere to run. The wave locks him in place for 5 seconds with 0 way to dodge, and in a game where half a second of being stationary gets you killed. Plum watches from the cliff with her hands over her mouth because she can see exactly what's about to happen, and there's nothing she can do. The soul wave catches Feng mid-air, and he's completely frozen, paralyzed while the swamp's water attacks converge on him like a firing squad that finally got the green light. 1059 damage slams through him and the death notification pops before his body even hits the water. 326 non-tradable years of life gone, 1087 tradable life days evaporated, and the life orbs from his corpse light up the swamp like a golden jackpot machine paying out to nobody. The thug boss watches from the cliff, absolutely howling with laughter, mocking Shadow for thinking he could solo a gold boss just because a few people called him expert, and I swear this man has the most punchable energy on the entire server. Then his eyes lock onto the massive life orbs floating in the swamp worth hundreds of days, the boss sitting at half health with nobody left to fight it, and this cockroach Yigu orders his entire crew to charge because he's about to steal the loot and the kill in one move. The whole squad rushes forward and something in the sky opens up bright enough to blind them, and every single one of these clowns is about to find out whether stealing from a dead man who planned his own death is really the win they think it is. And what do you know, those geniuses charged straight into the swamp and got folded like lawn chairs by the water pillars before they even reached the loot, and now they're back in town losing their minds over how Shadow got the boss to half health when they can't survive 2 seconds in the arena. But Shigo, this absolute cockroach of a man, refuses to accept it and rallies his boys to march right back out there because his ego physically cannot process the concept of taking an L. Meanwhile, Feng hits the respawn timer like an alarm clock he already set, drops right back into the swamp and immediately notices something strange because the place is littered with lifespan orbs that definitely were not there when he left. Plum fills him in real quick, telling him a whole mob of players came rushing in like they owned the place and got instantly liquidated by the water columns. Feng just laughs it off because of course they overestimated themselves, and then his mind drifts back to his previous life where this exact ghost ship gave him nightmares too. But here's the key piece of intel that makes round 2 a completely different fight. The gold ghost ship only uses that immobilization skill once, and below half health it starts teleporting around the swamp randomly, which makes it nearly impossible for normal players to pin down and finish off. But Feng is not a normal player, so he launches poison dart without a shred of hesitation because the hard part is already over. And the dart buries itself straight into the phantom firebell on the bow of the ship while the skeleton captain flails around like it's trying to swat a mosquito it cannot find. The ghost ship retaliates with everything it has left, purple energy and water columns spiraling out of the swamp in a desperate tantrum that would shred a full party to confetti. But Feng's eyes are tracking every single pattern like he's reading a book he already wrote the ending to. Instant shadow slash rips through the ghost ship's remaining health bar like a receipt through a paper shredder, and this boss just went from dangerous to endangered. Now guess who's back on the cliff watching all of this? Shigo's crew returned for round 2 like they learned absolutely nothing, and this fool is already planning to take down both Feng and the boss in one move. Plum spots them immediately and realizes she cannot let these parasites interfere while Feng is this close to finishing the boss, so she makes a decision that is either incredibly brave or catastrophically stupid. Because this girl charges up her staff with enough lightning magic to run a small city, and I'm gonna need a moment because a woman wielding divine thunder in the rain with that outfit is doing things to my cardiovascular system that a doctor would not approve of. She drops a lightning storm right on top of the thug squad, 45 damage, 39-44, which honestly is not a lot per hit, but the thugs are staring at her like she just declared war on their entire bloodline. And Jigu's face twists into pure rage as he orders his entire crew to forget Shadow and kill the mage instead, because nothing triggers a man with fragile ego energy faster than getting zapped by someone he considers beneath him. Plum instantly realizes she's made a critical miscalculation because there's about 8 of them, and one of her, and the gap between buying time and becoming a victim is closing real fast. She's running for her life, screaming for help, while the thug boss chases her down the cliff swearing he's going to delete her, and honestly if anything happens to Plum I'm going to personally hold the author accountable. But here's where it gets interesting because someone else is watching this whole situation unfold from behind a tree, and the way they're positioned says they've been here for a while. Wang Meng and his teammate are lurking in the shadows doing absolutely nothing while a girl gets chased by a mob, and I'm going to reserve judgment on these two for exactly 5 more seconds. Back in the swamp, Feng is tearing through the final stretch of this fight, his shadow cloak trailing behind him like a war banner made of pure darkness. The boss is almost dead, but Feng admits even for him this was grueling because soloing a gold boss at level 5 is like trying to eat a 7-course meal with chopsticks made of spaghetti, and the fight's been going so long it's attracted an audience. He's already spotted every threat. Sigu's clowns on the cliff and a completely separate group hiding in the trees by the swamp. The skeleton captain lets out one final scream, purple eyes blazing with the last of its stolen souls, and this is the death rattle of something that thought it was unkillable. Gold ghost ship, dead. 4,800 experience deposited directly into Feng's account. Level 8 unlocked, 7 evolution points collected, 216 tradable lifespan days pocketed, and he immediately uses Shadow Sneak because he already knew people were watching. And the server-wide announcement drops like a bomb. Player Shadow from Shelltown just became the first person on the entire server to solo a gold-grade boss, and every single player in the game just got that notification. The entire server is collectively losing their minds right now, people demanding to know who Shadow is, where Shelltown is, what country even spawns someone this broken. And our priestess girl from earlier is right there connecting the dots, going from bronze boss to gold boss solo in days, and she's already planning to get Shadow to carry her because apparently using the strongest player in the game as a taxi service is her new life goal, and I respect the hustle. Now back at the swamp, the boss loot is glowing on the ground like a treasure chest in a children's movie except worth more than some people's entire accounts. And the second group, the ones hiding in the trees, notice that Shadow vanished instead of grabbing the loot, which means he's wary of them, so their leader tells the hunter to use a detection skill to flush him out. The hunter draws back his bow and fires a phantom horned eagle, which is basically the hunter class's way of saying I do not believe in your right to privacy. The spectral eagle detonates across the swamp, sending detection waves rippling through every shadow, every bush, every inch of hiding space. A massive phantom bird screams across the sky, scanning for anything with a heartbeat and stealth active. The detection pulse blankets the entire area in glowing feathers and energy rings that should reveal every invisible player in a mile radius. Because Feng's Shadow Assassin class comes with a +1 invisibility level, which means their level 1 anti-invisibility skill is basically trying to find him with a flashlight in a room that doesn't exist. And this man is standing right there completely unbothered. The hunter reports back that Shadow is gone, must have run away after seeing how many of them there were, and their boss smirks thinking the expert got scared, which is genuinely the dumbest conclusion anyone has drawn in the history of this game. So they waltz right up to the boss loot and set up camp around it, noting that the ownership rights expire in 5 minutes, and after that the loot becomes free real estate, and every single one of these thieves is grinning like they just won the lottery. Would you like to guess how long they get to enjoy that feeling? Because Feng never left, and the first slash connects before either of them can process that the invisible man they thought ran away is currently serving them a 2-for-1 eviction notice. He carves through every single one of them so fast the kill feed probably looks like someone held down the delete key, and these fools thought a level 1 detection skill was going to save them from a man who just murdered a gold boss solo. Feng dusts himself off in a swamp full of corpses and glowing loot like he just took out the trash, then wonders where Plum wandered off to because apparently he hasn't noticed she's been getting chased this entire time. But before he goes looking for her, he realizes he's got enough evolution points to upgrade Greedy Hand from Diamond to Epic Tier, and the new description reads 200 to 300% chance for bonus loot with a guaranteed 1-tier upgrade on whatever drops, which is genuinely illegal in any balanced game. Feng reads that 100% upgrade guarantee and his brain nearly short-circuits because that's not a random chance anymore, that's just the game handing him premium rewards every single kill, so he starts strength, pulling every lifespan orb in the swamp toward his hands like a magnet for stolen valor. He crushes every single orb together into one massive harvest, and the energy surging through him right now could probably power a small nation. Greedy Hand activates and the loot rolls in like a slot machine that only hits jackpots. 7 evolution points 3 times over. 216 lifespan days 3 times over. And 2, not 1, 2 Ghostfire Bells as special item drops, and at this point Feng is not playing the same game as everybody else. The Ghostfire Bell prevents lifespan loss on death, passively boosts all lifespan drops by 20% that doubles with 2 bells equipped, and has an active skill that freezes every enemy within 100 meters for 3 seconds. He got 2 of them. This man is speedrunning the entire economy of life and death. Right when he's admiring his new toys, Plum's voice cuts through the rain, screaming for help, and Feng's face drops because he just realized the girl he left on the cliff is in serious trouble, and this fool has been looting while his partner has been running for her life. Feng tears through the forest, calling out for Plum, and all he gets back is her voice screaming at someone to stay away from her. And here's what she's dealing with, because Jigo's goons have her cornered on a cliffside, telling her to come quietly and they'll make her ascend to heaven. And I swear these creeps need to be on a registry somewhere. Plum is clutching her staff with her back against nothing but sky, and every option she has left involves either these animals or a very long fall. So she chooses the fall, turns around toward the edge, and every single one of those thugs freezes because they did not expect this girl to have more spine than all of them combined. Plum launches herself off the cliff without a second of hesitation, staff in hand, cape whipping in the rain, and this is genuinely one of the hardest moments in this entire story so far. She hits the ground and it is not pretty. That impact crater tells you everything you need to know about the height she just threw herself from to avoid those monsters, and the thug boss up top actually has the nerve to sound impressed, muttering that she's quite resolute for jumping, as if he wasn't the reason she felt jumping off a cliff was the better option. Plum's message hits Feng's chat, "No need to save me, already died and respawned in town." Their party's tradable lifespan is all stored on Wang Meng, so at least nothing valuable was lost, and Feng tells her to sit tight because he's bringing gifts. Now let's talk about the absolute haul this man is sitting on. 3,115 tradable lifespan days, 21 evolution points, and the system is already asking if he wants to dump 210 points into Evolving Greedy Hand again. 210 points though. The cost scaling on this skill is getting predatory, so Feng makes the call to invest in his offensive skills instead, because bigger damage means stronger bosses means better drops. Classic min-maxer logic, and honestly he's right. Instant Shadow Slash just got promoted to Diamond tier and the stat sheet reads like a cheat code. 27 meter flash range, 9 seconds of invisibility, 7 slashes along the path, each dealing 300 bonus damage, and a cooldown that barely qualifies as a cooldown. With backstab enhancement upgraded to gold as well, every slash now gets a 30% damage buff out of stealth, meaning a single shadow slash breaking invisibility can pump out 6,000 to 7,000 total damage across 7 hits. Most players in this game have maybe 400 health. But here's where Greedy Hand earns its name, because a gold boss normally drops 2 to 4 silver pieces with a tiny chance at gold. Feng's haul? 11 gold items, 2 platinum pieces, and 1 platinum skill book. That is not a loot table, that is grand larceny. First up, the Ghost Ship Dual Blades, Platinum Rarity Assassin Weapon. 136 attack, 22 agility, 24% attack speed, armor penetration, and a unique passive that makes every single normal attack hit twice. This weapon woke up and chose violence. Feng figures the double hit passive isn't critical since he relies on skills, but the raw stats on this thing are filthy. The agility alone is a massive spike, the attack speed reduces his cooldowns, and the armor penetration means tanks are a suggestion, not a problem. Next piece, Ghostfire Leather Armor at gold rarity, 25 physical defense, fire resistance, damage block, and a casual 419 health bonus just slapped on the end like it's nothing. Feng's base health is 350 and this single armor piece adds 419 on top, which means he more than doubles his health pool instantly, and most players at this stage literally cannot deal enough damage to scratch him anymore. He sets the armor to invisible so it uses the default assassin class appearance, because why let people see your premium gear when looking broke is the best disguise in the game. Also notices the last piece of loot is a skill book. It's an assassin survival skill that boosts dodge rate, and normally this thing is considered garbage because raising dodge in this game costs too much, and if you commit to dodge you're sacrificing every other stat just to pray for a coin flip. But Feng can evolve skills infinitely without any trade-offs, meaning he gets the dodge scaling for free while keeping all his other stats maxed. A trash skill for everyone else just became another broken tool in this man's already overflowing toolbox. Time to head back. The remaining loot is all warrior, priest, and archer gear he can sell to Wang Meng at a 10% friend discount, and even if they can't afford it right now, Feng knows Wang Meng's personality well enough to extend a tab. He's strolling back toward town thinking about how Plum's absurd luck stat is genuinely the most valuable thing in his inventory right now, because without her finding that ghost ship he'd still be grinding silver mobs like a peasant. Ixigo's remaining thugs see the hooded figure emerge from the tree line and the recognition hits them like a truck. The lead one screams it's the Shadow and tells everyone to run, and I have never seen a group of bullies become track athletes so fast. Pure chaos. They're tripping over each other, shoving their own teammates into Feng's path, screaming for help, telling him not to come closer, and this is genuinely the funniest thing that's happened since this story started, because 30 seconds ago, Feng looks at them the way you look at ants near your picnic, and that single glance carries more killing intent than most players' entire skill rotations. The new blades connect, and this poor fool gets launched into the air like a rag doll while the thug boss watches his crew get disassembled in real time. The thug boss is pinned against a tree begging for mercy, swearing he was wrong and he'll never do it again, which is fascinating because this exact man was chasing Plum off a cliff about 5 minutes ago with zero remorse. This clown actually calls Feng brother, expert, and daddy in the same breath while crying about having less than a year of lifespan left. Feng looks him dead in the eyes and asks if he considered his own fate before attacking other people, and that is the coldest line delivery we've gotten so far. And Feng collects his debt in full. Green energy tears through the boss like acid through tissue paper, and whatever lifespan this man had left just got repossessed by the universe. But the body count comes with a receipt. The system brands Feng with Layer 1 killer status, meaning if he dies he loses 75% of his current lifespan. That would cripple anyone else, but this fool has 2 ghost fire bells that erase death penalties entirely, so he shrugs it off like a parking ticket. Feng rolls back into town trailing dark shadow tendrils like some kind of eldritch nightmare in a cloak, and every single person on the street stops what they're doing to stare at him. The whispers spread instantly. That's Shadow, the guy who solo killed a gold boss, and every player within earshot is either starstruck or terrified, which is exactly the kind of reputation that makes you untouchable and a target at the same time. Some genius in the crowd notices Feng isn't wearing any visible equipment and concludes he must have exploited a bug to kill the boss so it didn't drop anything. Meanwhile, the real explanation is that Feng hid his gear to look broke on purpose, and I genuinely cannot decide if that's genius or paranoid. Then this new guy, Yan Xiao, approaches with a smile that screams ulterior motive, handing over an assassin skill book and apologizing for the earlier misunderstanding with the kind of fake sincerity that should come with a terms and conditions page. The skill book is Impale, a common tier control ability. Single target 20 bonus attack 2 seconds stun on hit. Nothing spectacular on paper, but a stun on an assassin who deals 7,000 damage per combo is basically a death sentence with a 2-second preview. Feng pockets the book, says fine, and walks away without a single extra word because this man communicates exclusively in monosyllables when he's not actively ending someone's career. The second Feng is out of earshot, Xianxiao's crew starts whining about how humiliating it is to give a skill book to the guy who murdered them. But their boss tells them to shut up and start calling in favors, because apparently strength in numbers is the only strategy cowards know. Now here's where it gets genuinely concerning. Xianxiao reveals his actual plan, which isn't about revenge in the game at all. He wants to find Shadow's real identity, kidnap him in real life, and force him to be their personal lifespan farming slave. Keep your eye on this one. His reasoning is that Shadow's voice sounds foreign and poor, meaning he's outside their social circle and vulnerable. So the plan is to send a professional beauty to honeypot him into revealing personal information, because apparently this man woke up and decided to be a full-blown crime boss today. Meanwhile, Feng finds Plum alive and well back in town, calls her Little Black again because he apparently cannot retain a name, and starts dropping gold tier equipment into her trade window like Santa Claus with a loot addiction. She's beside herself. Plum equips everything and her damage multiplies several times over while her mana regen more than doubles, and she's swinging that staff around surrounded by flames looking like a completely different player than the girl who was running for her life 10 minutes ago. Feng reminds her this is just their deal and asks for the space ring she promised, because even when handing out premium loot this man stays on top of his accounts receivable like a CPA with trust issues. But then Plum drops something even more valuable than inventory space. While she was running from those thugs through the forest, she stumbled onto an underground cave hidden behind some bushes that looks like the entrance to ancient ruins. Feng's brain immediately locks in. First the golden ghost ship, now a hidden ruin entrance. This girl's luck stat is doing more for his progression than his own skills are, and he realizes that treating her well is quite literally the highest return investment in the game. The space ring bumps his inventory to 27 slots, and he asks where Wang Meng is to sell the remaining gear. Plum tells him the captain and his crew went off to train a new priest and won't be back for a while. Plum gives him the full details. She marked the entrance on his map. There's a stone slab behind some bushes, but when she went inside she heard screams coming from deeper in and got so terrified she bolted, which is exactly how the thugs caught up to her in the first place. Feng tells her he's heading to the ruins right now and will trade with Wang Meng later, then activates his shadow movement and dissolves into darkness while Plum watches him vanish mid-sentence, wondering if this man has ever said a proper goodbye in his life. Shadow tendrils rip through the rain as Feng tears across the map at a speed that should require a loading screen. He was originally planning to grind mobs until level 10, but a ruin changes the entire playbook because ruins are where the real loot density lives. There are 3 types of ruins in beginner towns: tombs, cursed ruins, and temples of faith, all packed with bronze tier mobs and the occasional silver monster. To any normal player that's a serious challenge. To Feng, that's a buffet of lifespan and evolution points with his name on the reservation. He finds the entrance exactly where Plum marked it, a stone slab buried under brush with steps dropping into nothing. Feng's already sorting odds on the way down. Tombs mean mob density capped with a gold boss. Cursed ruins and temples guarantee a special item or skill book if you clear them. Cursed ruins house former humans corrupted into ghosts and madmen by ancient gods. Temples of faith are built around zealot orders with layouts complex enough to swallow entire raid parties. The murals on these walls settle the question instantly. Temple of Faith. Clearing this place means a guaranteed reward, and Feng's eyes lock onto the carvings because they're showing him something he already knows. He recognizes these engravings. They're hauntingly, impossibly familiar. This is the faith temple of the ancient god of judgment, the exact same deity his Eye of Judgment originates from, and the screams bleeding up from deeper inside confirm this place is very much occupied. Now, while this maniac is spelunking through his god's abandoned basement, let's check on what Wang Meng's squad has been doing without him. Spoiler, it's tragic. A skinless red monstrosity is pile-driving their tank into the dirt hard enough to crater the earth and whatever self-esteem that man had left. Their swordsman retaliates, and the attack connects with all the devastation of a strongly worded email. The frontliner screams at their new priest to heal because he's roughly 2 heartbeats away from a respawn screen and he would very much like to avoid that. And this girl, this beautiful disaster of a healer, is standing in the rain gripping her staff like a lost child and genuinely asks how healing works. Mid-fight, while her entire team is being fed to a monster, the monster boomerangs back for seconds and the warrior is losing his grip on reality because this thing apparently runs on pure spite and a cardio routine that never ends. The priest does the only logical thing remaining. She throws her weapon, covers her face, and screams that she's scared. Class dismissed, everybody's dead, phenomenal first outing. They respawn in town looking like the losing side of a group project nobody wanted to be in. Plum catches them coming in and lets the captain know Shadow's still out, so no equipment sales today. And I need to mention that Plum in this white outfit is committing visual warfare on every pair of eyes within a 50-meter radius. But the warrior is not admiring anything right now. He's on full tilt screaming about how the priest can't dodge, can't cast, can't contribute a single useful thing to the team besides a heartbeat and a head count. Plum physically steps between them defending the girl because she's obviously brand new, but this clown wants her out of the way so he can finish verbally dismantling someone half his level. Then Wang Meng drops the real figure. They didn't die once, they died 3 times in under an hour. Even Plum doesn't have a comeback for that math. So Plum pivots from defense attorney to volunteer soldier, announcing that Shadow just blessed her with 2 premium upgrades and she personally guarantees 0 deaths if she's on the team. That level of confidence wrapped in that outfit is genuinely unfair to everyone sharing her oxygen. Wang Meng accepts because they're out of options and honestly out of dignity. He figures maybe they'll bump into Shadow on the way back. The new priest quietly apologizes and promises to try harder, but the instant nobody's looking, she's internally combusting about how these incompetent fools can't clear basic content and still dare blame her. She only tolerates any of them because they know Shadow. File that one away. Back underground, Feng enters a massive hall where the walls are carved with figures that look like they were frozen mid-scream and nobody ever bothered to thaw them. The wailing grows louder and this idiot listens to the sound of anguished souls, the same way a normal person listens to a podcast on a morning jog. 2 robed figures grovel on the temple floor ahead. Devout followers of the ancient god, the Judged. Level 10, Silver Tier. For any other player in the game right now, this room is a funeral with extra steps. For Feng, it's Tuesday. Instant Shadow slash detonates across the chamber and carves through both followers in one gorgeous sequence. And it barely left a mark. Even after a stealth break backstab with his strongest skill, their health bars shifted by a sliver. These 2 combined pack more HP than the gold tier ghost ship, which is genuinely offensive math. That micro pause in his expression says his confidence just tripped over something it wasn't expecting. But then something wild happens. Both followers drop to their knees and bow directly toward him despite him being invisible. He puts it together immediately. They sense the Eye of Judgment and recognize the authority of their own god. So what does this lunatic do with 2 silver tier abominations worshipping at his feet? He politely asks them for directions like a tourist with a god complex. No dice. They've been rotting too long, corrupted and decomposed into hollow shells that only know one thing. Drain lifespan from anything warm. Tragic backstory, terrible customer service. Those glowing purple eyes carry exactly 0 comprehension, 0 loyalty, and 0 chill. And one of them confirms the bad news by erupting in green fire and lunging at Feng because apparently even divine loyalty has an expiration date. Green flames rip through the corridor and Feng picks up footsteps from deeper in the temple. Another group of players just wandered into this nightmare. Someone spots the 2 silver bosses and immediately calls for a full retreat because they could barely survive a single one of these things. Feng stands in the shadows watching the panic unfold with absolutely 0 urgency. Their mage dumps every resource she has into one desperate barrage. Staff blazing with lightning and green fire and what might be the most frantic spell rotation anyone has attempted in this game so far. Feng IDs them instantly. Grey Rose, the guild whose leader bought Ice Spike from him. He clocks their gear and confirms what he already knew. Nobody in the entire beginner zone has the equipment to push this deep. Nobody except him. While those poor souls were running for their lives, Feng has been quietly harvesting the regular temple mobs, and these things were shockingly loaded. Over 100 days of tradable lifespan from fodder alone. After sweeping every corridor and chamber though, there's nothing else hidden. No traps, no secret chests, no bonus rooms. Just the 2 silver followers left standing between him and an empty temple. Feng glances at the remaining followers with the energy of a man canceling a subscription and says forget it. If there's no hidden treasure, these 2 walking loot panadas are the final objective. Both followers get erased in green light and the system unloads a receipt that would make accountants weep. 4,000 XP, level 9 unlocked, 4 evolution points, and 188 days of lifespan from 2 kills. Then he pops Greedy Hand because leaving bonus loot on the table is against everything this man believes in. Epic tier Greedy Hand is a crime against game balance and I love every digit of it. 32 evolution points, 1504 days of tradable lifespan, 4 gold tier items, 10 silver tier items. He just extracted more value from 2 corpses than most guilds earn in a month. Among the gold drops is the Pendant of the Faithful, an assassin-class necklace with 15 agility, 20% cooldown reduction, and a unique effect that summons a silver tier follower to fight for him every 10 minutes. He literally just turned his enemies into his employees. That 20% cooldown reduction cascades through his entire kit like a patch update. Stealth drops to 19 seconds. Poison Dart falls to 3.7, Instant Shadow Slash hits 8.8. His ability rotation just went from oppressive to genuinely reportable. But right when he's about to call it a win, the floor shifts underneath him and something sharp starts pushing up from the center of the ritual circle. A stone pedestal grinds up through the ground with the slow, dramatic energy of a dungeon that knows exactly how to keep you playing. Clearing every monster in the temple triggered a hidden mechanism, and whatever this pedestal is about to reveal just turned a great run into something potentially game-breaking. Feng stares at the stone pedestal like it owes him money, and mutters that this whole floor has a hidden mechanism. He walks up to the ancient pillar, and the entire thing groans like it hasn't moved in a few centuries. The whole chamber starts shaking around him, carved symbols on the ground lighting up in a massive circle as the floor beneath the pedestal begins to separate. Because the platform he's standing on is dropping straight down into the earth like an ancient stone elevator that definitely does not meet modern safety standards. Down and down this fool goes, the opening above shrinking into a thin rectangle of light as debris rains around him and the shaft just keeps going deeper. It finally stops and Feng estimates he just descended 300 to 400 meters underground, which is absolutely not where any sane person would voluntarily go. He looks up and what he sees makes even this unflappable lunatic pause. A full-blown maze hidden underneath the temple, littered with bones, iron cages, and the kind of architecture that screams nothing good has ever happened here. But Feng already knows the deal because he explored dozens of these hidden mazes in his previous life. They're packed with traps, and the only safe way through is letting other people die first so you can map the dangers. The problem is his own stats would get him vaporized if he triggers any of those traps personally, but fortunately this maniac just looted the Pendant of the Faithful. He activates the pendant and summons a silver tier devout follower in a burst of blue lightning, dragging one of those undead zealots right back from the afterlife to serve as his personal mine detector. Points one finger forward and says go scout, sending this freshly summoned corpse shambling into the darkness ahead of him like a disposable Roomba with purple eyes. With his expendable intern handling the front line, Feng figures now is the perfect time to invest some evolution points into his dodge passive because even with a meat shield he's not taking chances. Ghost Shadow Blur jumps from gold to epic tier, giving him a 75% passive dodge rate with full damage immunity on activation. Then he dumps the remaining points into Instant Shadow Slash, pushing it to epic 2. 9 slashes, 30 meter range, 12-second invisibility. Now here's where his evolution system reveals just how beautifully broken it is. Pushing a skill from epic to legendary costs 10 times the base points, but the higher the starting tier the cheaper the early upgrades are, meaning an epic skill only needs 10 points to hit legendary. That ratio is genuinely criminal and no other player in this game will ever have access to this economy. But the real headline is that from this point forward, every single skill Feng acquires can be quickly pushed to at least epic tier for pocket change and evolution points, which means his floor just became everyone else's ceiling. He also bumps Shadow Sneak to platinum, but even after the upgrade the cooldown sits at 16 seconds, and the stealth break damage still feels underwhelming. He makes a mental note to replace this skill entirely when something better shows up, and right on cue the summoned follower steps on a pressure plate and earns the honor of being the maze's first casualty. A boulder the size of a small apartment comes thundering out of the wall and flattens everything in its path, because apparently this temple was designed by someone who really loved Indiana Jones. The summon evaporates into golden particles and Feng just watches the dust settle, noting that this maze is too complex and dangerous to rush. He'll wait for the cooldown, resummon, and repeat the process until he maps the whole thing. Meanwhile, back on the upper layer of the temple, a certain group of survivors is creeping back into the main hall. Wang Meng and the new priest peek through a doorway like two kids checking if the monsters under the bed are actually gone, and the Grey Rose Mage, who I need to respectfully acknowledge has no business looking that good in dungeon gear, confirms that both silver tier bosses have completely vanished. Wang Meng nearly chokes on his own disbelief. They piece it together pretty fast. The only person capable of deleting 2 silver bosses right now is Shadow, which means their dropped lifespan just got collected as a tip for his services. The Grey Rose Mage recalls seeing someone talking to the monsters before they attacked, and now she's wondering if Shadow has some kind of boss charming ability. Back in the maze, another summoned follower eats a full volley of spike traps and gets perforated like a human cheese grater. 3 hours of this rinse and repeat strategy later, Feng reaches what he believes is the end of the maze. He casually mentions that doing this with actual human players would have cost hundreds of lives. He completed it with an unlimited respawn button instead. He summons a fresh follower for the final stretch because the man simply does not believe in touching anything himself when there's a perfectly good corpse servant available. The two of them cross a broken stone path suspended over what appears to be an infinite void, which adds a nice existential dread flavor to an already terrible work environment. They reach a massive sealed door at the end, and Feng orders the follower to open it. The poor thing groans and pushes with everything its rotting body has, and the door does not move, not an inch. This silver tier monster that was bodying entire raid parties 5 minutes ago can't open a door. Feng narrows his eyes because this isn't a strength issue. something else is keeping this door sealed. So he steps up himself and touches the door, and energy ripples radiate outward from his palm like the door was waiting specifically for him. The entire door erupts in blue light and starts trembling with the kind of energy that makes Feng take a step back. It blasts open with enough force to launch the follower sideways and fill the entire corridor with dust and raw magical pressure. Feng stands there processing what just happened, because that door recognized the Eye of Judgment and only responded to his authority. Even in his previous life he never encountered this. Beyond the door is something that does not belong underground. A vast open chamber with towering pillars, a false starlit sky, and in the center, a golden chest wrapped in thorns sitting on a raised platform. Feng approaches and immediately notices the chest is locked, sealed in thorny vines, and there's a figure standing beside it. A full NPC in the deepest part of a hidden dungeon that nobody was supposed to reach. And this NPC is something else entirely. A woman wrapped in bandages with an eye symbol on her crown, all her information showing nothing but question marks. Keep your eye on this one. Feng's genuinely stunned because in both his lives he has never encountered an NPC whose entire status is redacted. Whatever she is, she outranks anything the game has shown him. She speaks, but it comes out as ancient runes that make absolutely zero sense to anyone alive, which tracks for a divine entity hidden 400 meters under a death temple. Then her entire body ignites in golden light, divine energy swirling around her like she's about to ascend out of existence. And she does exactly that. She dissolves into golden particles right in front of him, leaving nothing behind but the fading glow and Feng's confused expression. But when she vanishes, the thorns binding the treasure chest start burning away too, the golden energy eating through the seal like it was the key all along. Feng puts it together immediately. That woman is connected to the Eye of Judgment, and whatever she just did was a direct response to him carrying the artifact of her god. This rabbit hole just got significantly deeper. Now the chest is glowing pure gold, which means epic tier loot minimum. But this fool has been gaming long enough to know that golden chests can also be mimics or traps, so he's not touching it himself. He points at the follower and says, "Go open the chest, because why risk your own hands when you have an undead intern on the payroll?" The follower pries it open and golden light detonates across the entire sanctuary, illuminating every pillar and flooding the chamber with raw loot energy. Feng looks at what's inside and his eyes go wide because this is an assassin skill book, and not just any skill book. Bestowal of Mercy Epic Tier Assassin Skill. The passive doubles the hitbox for enemy weak points and doubles the damage multiplier on critical zones. The active skill Slit Throat makes your next attack deal 100% of its damage per second for 3 seconds. Let me break down why this is obscene. The passive means every enemy's weak spot is now twice as easy to hit and takes double damage. That alone would be a top-tier skill for any assassin in the game. But the active skill Slit Throat turns a single 300 damage hit into 1200 total because the bleed ticks for the full damage every second for 3 seconds. That is a casual 3 times multiplier on any attack he chooses. And because it's epic tier, it only needs 10 evolution points to hit legendary. His burst damage just jumped by several orders of magnitude, and this fool is standing here grinning like he found a coupon for genocide. With the dungeon completely cleaned out, he contacts Plum to tell Wang Meng to meet him back in town because he's got leftover equipment to sell. Time to liquidate assets. He surfaces back in town and the atmosphere has completely changed from when he left. Feng takes one look around and realizes something has gone very wrong with his anonymity, because an entire mob of players descends on him screaming his name. Brother Shadow, add me as a friend. I'm a chairman from Shanghai City. Join my corporation. This is my sister. She's your biggest fan. The man went from solo dungeon crawler to boy band member in 60 seconds flat. One absolute legend offers to give Shadow his wife if he'll carry their team. And there's a girl from Azure Wavetown who looks like she'd personally fight through this crowd for a handshake. The celebrity treatment is getting genuinely unhinged, but Feng ignores every last one of them because he's just noticed that the teleportation gates between towns have finally activated, which means he can reach Songfei in Firefly Town. So he activates stealth and vanishes into shadow energy right in front of the entire crowd, leaving them staring at a puddle of dark smoke where their idol used to be. Naturally, the crowd immediately starts brawling over whose fault it is that Shadow left, with insults about ugly sisters and death threats flying back and forth like a PvP zone activated in the town square. Plum catches up to him around the corner, calling out for the expert, and Feng addresses her as Little Black because even his codenames have codenames. She cheerfully leads him to where Wang Meng's team is waiting, announcing with a peace sign that the expert has arrived as if she personally arranged this like a talent manager. But the moment Feng looks at the team, something catches his attention that turns his expression sharp. Qin Xiaoyu, standing right there in Wang Meng's party with her dark hair and sweet smile, looking absolutely harmless and absolutely dangerous for completely different reasons than combat. Feng's internal alarm is screaming because this girl managed to worm her way into Wang Meng's crew. And from what he knows of her, she could single-handedly dismantle their entire operation from the inside. But he can't exactly do anything about it right now because the whole world knows Shadow exists and he absolutely cannot expose his real identity. In real life, without his powers, even a kitchen knife could end him. Being famous is its own death sentence. Meanwhile, Xiaoyu is internally simping over Shadow, thinking that compared to him Wang Meng's party is absolute garbage, and that if Shadow carried her she could reunite with Songfei in days. This girl's loyalty pivots faster than a weather vane in a hurricane. Feng lays out the merchandise for Wang Meng. Silver and gold tier equipment matched to their party's classes plus skill books, totaling 2200 days of lifespan. Wang Meng nearly faints at the price tag, but Feng tells him he can pay on credit. Wang Meng is so moved he's practically swearing a blood oath, promising that if Shadow ever needs anything in the future, his entire squad will show up no questions asked. The man just earned a discount and a lifelong loyalty pledge in the same breath. The whole team is losing their minds. Gold tier equipment this early in the game, gold tier skill books tripling their damage output, and a buy now pay later plan from the strongest player in existence. Xiaoyu watches all this with barely contained anticipation. Then she notices something. There's nothing in the hall for priests. Wang Meng's teammate shrugs and says she's lucky to even be leeching their XP, which is the kind of remark that starts wars in group chats. So Xiaoyu walks right up to Feng herself, introduces herself as the party's priest, asks if there's any equipment for her, and immediately sends a friend request under the name Little Graceful. Bold move from someone Feng actively wants to remove from the game board. Feng gives her one cold glance and dissolves into shadow without saying a single word. Rejected so hard it should count as psychic damage. The team watches him vanish and Xiaoyu stands there stunned. Wang Meng awkwardly suggests maybe Shadow just didn't get any priest drops this time, which is generous of him. But Wang Meng's not stupid. He quietly mutters that Shadow intentionally ignored her, while Plum cheerfully adds that the way Shadow comes and goes is dragon-level cool. Xiaoyu's face says she just got publicly humiliated and she knows exactly what it means. Here's the thing. Feng actually has a gold tier priest staff and a gold tier priest skill book sitting in his inventory right now. He could have handed them over and made everyone happy, but why would he invest premium gear into a leech he's planning to replace? Wang Meng's team is his supply chain for bulk selling equipment, and he's not about to let one snake in the grass compromise that business relationship. He needs a real priest for Wang Meng's squad, and he needs one fast. That's when it clicks. He needs to find little Sue, Gi Yisui. In his previous life, she was the manager of the Godslayer Guild and wielded a hidden priest class called White Avian Priestess, complete with a divine owl companion. This woman could solo epic tier bosses as a healer. Compared to her, Qin Xiaoyu is a participation trophy with a pulse. And the best part, he remembers that Yue was from Firefly Town. Same town as Song Fei. 2 birds, 1 teleport. Feng grins and activates the portal. His plan is locked in. Find little Sue, slot her into Wang Meng's team as the priest, and keep his supply chain running smoothly. Destination, Firefly Town. The portal spits him out on the other side in a whirlpool of dark energy, and immediately the vibe is different. This is not his quiet little town anymore. Firefly Town has warm-toned Mediterranean architecture bathed in sunset light, and it looks like the kind of place where main characters go to get ambushed by plot developments. He overhears local players ranting about Song Fei. Apparently, this pretty boy celebrity brought a whole army of fangirls into the game and is dominating the area, which has every other male player foaming at the mouth with jealousy. One warrior straight up declares he's going to murder Song Fei today. Feng barely has to try. He's already picking up intel on Song Fei just from standing near angry players. Finding people through their haters might be the most efficient tracking method in gaming history. He heads into the wilds outside town and the landscape shifts dramatically. Scorched canyon walls, dead trees, and ash floating through the air like a hellscape postcard. This is the level 5 area called Wailing Valley, home to Ember Fiends and Shackled Monsters. The kind of zone where parties come to grind and leave in body bags. He doesn't even get to survey the area properly before a monster catches an attitude and rushes him. Feng looks at it with the energy of someone swatting a mosquito. But the real chaos is happening nearby, where a massive fire elemental, the Ember Fiend, is bodying an entire squad of players who can barely hold formation. One of them screams to dodge as the thing swings flame-covered fists like a walking furnace with anger issues. Feng identifies it as the twin-headed Ember Fiend, a silver-tier boss. But the real problem isn't the boss itself. The whole area has devolved into pure anarchy. Players are straight up killing each other in the middle of a boss fight. PvP and PvE happening simultaneously in the same zone, with blood and fire mixing into the most chaotic scene this game has produced yet. Through all that carnage, Feng spots one particular group pushing through the battlefield and his expression shifts. Song Fei. Blonde hair, red cape, crown accessory, looking like he stepped out of a fantasy magazine cover. This is the celebrity pretty boy that half the server wants to worship and the other half wants to bury. And sure enough, some warrior charges straight at Song Fei, screaming about stolen lifespan and revenge, claiming he has a godly anti-mage skill called Lockjaw that'll shut down Song Fei's magic for good. He doesn't even get close. One of Song Fei's fangirls screams, "Don't you dare hurt my appa," and plants the attacker's face into the dirt with a staff swing that could crack concrete. The entire enemy squad stops and stares. Feng watches all of this and remembers exactly how Song Fei operated in his previous life. The heaven-defying mage god convinced hordes of fangirls to pick mage class, then funneled all their equipment and skills into himself like a human vacuum for resources. But a team of pure mages can't survive, so the fangirls improvised. Some went glass cannon, some went protection, some stacked health, and some became battle mages swinging their staffs like baseball bats. Early on, this army steamrolled everyone, but Feng knows the truth. Most of those girls died off pretty quickly once the game stopped being forgiving. Song Fei is out here giving a halftime motivational speech mid-boss fight, telling his sisters they've worked so hard it breaks his heart and wishing the world could be filled with love instead of violence. And the fangirls are eating it up, screaming that Brother Fei suffers the most while pointing at a literal fire elemental and rallying the squad to delete it before it scratches their precious boy. They're chanting war poems for this man. Monsters run wild, Song Fei reigns supreme, Appa fly slowly will follow forever. This is a K-pop concert with a raid boss as the opening act. The Ember Fiend roars directly in Song Fei's face, and for the first time this pretty boy actually looks concerned that his personal army might not be enough. But Song Fei fights back with everything he's got, channeling fire through his staff like the mage god title actually means something while his fangirls cover him from every angle. One of his girls is literally on the ground holding his hand, whispering, "Brother Fei, we're crazy for you," and honestly the devotion to this mediocre celebrity would be heartwarming if it wasn't so pathologically insane. Now here's where it gets interesting. One of the fangirls screams that they need to surpass that so-called shadow and take first place on the leaderboard for Brother Fei. The whole army is now screaming battle vows in unison. Break the heavens, command the storm, stand by Brother Fei. They've turned a boss grind into a religious ceremony. Lightning and fire collide as the Ember Fiend takes a combined barrage from dozens of mages at once, and the whole canyon lights up like a fireworks factory accident. Song Fei watches the boss finally drop low and immediately starts ranting about Shadow. If a silver boss is this hard, how could anyone solo a gold one? That guy must be exploiting a bug. Then this absolute narcissist hits us with the real plan. Once this boss dies, he'll be level 8, and since Shadow's been stuck at 9 for ages, he'll push past and become the #1 player in the entire game. The delusion is Olympic tier. And that confidence lasts exactly 1 second because something just registered on Song Fei's radar, and his eyes go wide with pure unfiltered terror. A wave of shadow energy tears across the battlefield and sends Song Fei ragdolling through the air like a leaf in a hurricane. Because our boy Feng just dropped from the sky in full assassin mode, dark cloak billowing, blade first, aimed directly at the guy who was just monologuing about being #1. Instant shadow slash. The skill name alone sounds like a death certificate, and Song Fei just had it delivered express. And Song Fei's face right now is the face of a man who just realized he was never even in the same tier as the person he was trash-talking. The fangirls scream Appa in perfect horrified unison, like a cursed choir, and not a single one of them can do anything about what just happened. Because the slash didn't just hit Song Fei, the wave carved through the fangirls too, shadow energy shredding through the entire squad like they were standing in a blender. The kill log is scrolling so fast it looks like end credits. Twin-headed Ember Fiend slain, Heaven-defying Mage God slain, Song Fei Meow Meow slain, Phi Follow Forever slain, Little Phi Moth Cuckoo slain. The damage numbers are all in the thousands and they just keep stacking. Nearby players lose their minds. He one-shot the boss and dealt thousands of damage when their strongest skills barely hit 100. That's not a gap, that's a different sport entirely. Someone puts it together immediately. That's Shadow. The guy who got the world first gold boss kill. Who else could wipe a boss in an entire player army in one swing? Everyone backs off and tells each other to let the expert take the loot. Feng collects his prizes while the crowd showers him with praise and love yous, but internally he knows these same people would have mobbed him if they thought they could win. Fear disguised as respect is still just fear. Meanwhile, Song Fei respawns back in town and gets hit with a death notification that should qualify as financial ruin. 1100 days of tradable lifespan gone. 18 years of non-tradable lifespan evaporated. This clown just lost nearly 2 decades of his life to one move. His fangirls pop back into existence right next to him, all equally confused about being dead, and immediately start raging that Shadow must have ambushed their precious brother to steal the boss kill. The victim mentality kicked in before the respawn animation even finished. But then a new face shows up. A blue-haired archer girl approaches Song Fei's group asking to join, claiming she has an eagle eye skill that can detect stealth. Keep your eye on this one. The fangirls immediately body block her. Song Fei only takes mages, your DPS is too low, you'll drag brothers ranking down. They gatekeep this man harder than a bouncer at a VIP club, but Song Fei overrides them with his signature move. He pulls the family card, says love conquers all, sparkles literally manifesting around him as the fangirls swoon in the background. He takes the archer girl's hand, tells her it doesn't matter what class she is, come join us, let's grow stronger together, and the poor girl is blushing so hard her face matches a tomato. This man's recruitment strategy is literally just flirting, and she's completely gone. Full heart eyes, drooling, whispering, brother, I love you. He just converted a stealth-detecting archer into a simp in under 30 seconds, and that skill is genuinely more broken than anything in his spellbook. More recruits pile in. An assassin sister who can stealth and fight Shadow at his own game. A mage who learned crowd control and can freeze him. The revenge squad is assembling with a full class spread now. Song Fei goes full cult leader mode, arms spread wide, declaring that his family is a family filled with love and anyone who wants to join is welcome. This is not a guild recruitment speech, this is an initiation ceremony. The fangirls are crying, actual tears streaming down their faces, screaming follow Song Fei no regrets, while the man stands there absorbing devotion like a sponge absorbs water. This whole operation would not survive a cult deprogramming seminar. And just like that, the mission statement shifts from farming to vengeance. The entire army raises their staffs and declares war on Shadow, screaming about revenge and making him pay for daring to touch their brother. Every single one of them is about to throw their lives away for a pretty face. Meanwhile, some random male players overhear the commotion, and one of them is absolutely thrilled that Song Fei got killed. He's been waiting for this moment with the patience of a man who lost his girlfriend to a leaderboard. When they hear the killer was Shadow, one guy screams that Shadow's a legend while another quietly notes that picking a fight with this fangirl army is genuinely unhinged behavior. Is Feng brave or suicidal? The answer might be both. Song Fei is back to performing confidence, surrounded by his adoring mob, calling Shadow a fragile little assassin who can't possibly compare to a noble mage like himself. Brother, that fragile assassin just deleted you in one frame. But Feng doesn't care about any of that because he's busy doing what actually matters. He activates Greedy Hand on the boss loot pile, and the golden light alone looks like he just opened a treasure chest from heaven. 16 evolution points, 217 days of lifespan, 6 silver drops, 1 gold drop. And this genius immediately dumps 10 points into Bestowal of Mercy, pushing it from epic straight to legendary. The passive now gives 200% weak point correction, and throat slit deals 150% damage per second for 3 seconds, which means the area on an enemy's body that counts as a weak point has doubled again. Half the target's entire body now registers as a critical zone. Even his basic slash attacks are gonna trigger weak point multipliers just because the hitbox is that absurdly generous. But then he checks the next tier, and the price curve hits him like a brick wall. Going from legendary to mythic costs 200 evolution points. The discount he's been enjoying just expired violently. So he pivots. Can't afford the premium upgrade, so he dumps his remaining points into backstab enhancement instead, pushing it from gold to platinum. Rear attacks now deal 40% bonus damage, which is the polite way of saying nobody should ever let this man get behind them. Feng tallies everything up. Between the silver boss and all the players he harvested, that's over 1400 days of tradable lifespan in one outing. Business trip complete, time to head back to the actual objective. Except someone has other plans because an assassin just launched at him from behind with twin daggers coated in green energy and zero hesitation. She screams die, shadow, and swings with genuine killing intent, which is adorable given the power gap we're dealing with here. Feng catches the blade between his fingers like he's picking up a chopstick, and the look in his eyes says this is not even worth pulling his weapon out for. Miss. The system literally registers her attack as a miss while she's standing point blank. The level difference just turned her best move into a participation ribbon. He flicks her away like an insect, and she goes tumbling through the air completely bewildered, stammering about why nothing connected. Feng doesn't even bother finishing her off, just activates stealth and vanishes into shadow smoke while she's still picking herself up off the dirt. But the fangirl army has a plan B. They've positioned themselves on the canyon ridge above, and one of them screams that he's surrounded, which would be terrifying if the person surrounded was literally anyone else. The entire fangirl battalion opens fire with magic spells raining down from every direction, screaming about avenging their beloved Songfei like they're storming a castle instead of griefing one dude. Feng activates stealth and dissolves into pure darkness, his body sinking into the shadows like the earth itself is swallowing him whole. But that's where the archer girl earns her keep. She fires Eagle Eye and pins Feng's location with a detection arrow, shouting that his stealth is useless against her. The archer summons a barrage of feather projectiles that blanket the entire sky, turning the canyon into a kill zone with nowhere to hide. And it works. They actually spot him. The fangirls scream in triumph and call for everyone to unload their strongest skills at once. For one brief moment, this uncoordinated mess of a team has Feng pinned. The fight fans charge forward screaming about leaving no blade of grass standing, and honestly their enthusiasm to die is almost respectable at this point. Except they're so focused on shadow that they forget about friendly fire. Their own assassin sister gets caught in the blast wave and screams wait it's me while being juggled by her own team spells. Teamwork makes the dream work, folks. The entire cliff face detonates in a multicolored explosion, and the fangirls up top pause with a confused reaction because something very wrong just happened to someone on their side. But the lead fangirl shrugs it off, says the assassin wasn't even a mage so she never truly loved Faye anyway, and orders the archer to use Eagle Eye again. The callousness here is genuinely impressive. Too late. Feng pulls out the ghost fire bell and rings it. Soul Shock activates, immobilizing every single enemy within 100 meters for 3 seconds. That's a 10-minute cooldown item, and he just spent it on a bunch of fangirls without blinking. Every single fangirl freezes in place like someone hit the pause button on reality, their eyes going wide as they realize they can't move a muscle. The look on their faces is pure helpless horror, because they understand exactly what 3 seconds of paralysis means when the strongest assassin in the game is standing right there. Instant shadow slash. Feng rips through the air in a tornado of dark energy and blade light, covering the entire frozen army in one continuous cut. Bodies drop like dominoes. Every fangirl on that cliff gets sent back to respawn simultaneously while Feng lands on the ground below without a scratch on him. That wasn't a fight, that was pest control. Songfei watched the whole thing from the rear, and he's panicking because all his sisters just evaporated, but Shadow never even left stealth. As far as he can tell, an invisible force just erased his entire army, and then a voice whispers right behind him. Songfei, you're already dead. That might be the single coldest line delivered in this manhwa so far, and I genuinely felt it in my spine. Songfei panics and throws up a magic shield, pouring every ounce of mana he has into not dying for the 3rd time today. The shield shatters on contact like it was made of sugar glass, and the look in Songfei's eyes is the look of a man who just realized his entire build is worthless. Feng puts him down with one clean strike, green poison damage spraying everywhere, as Songfei's body crumples mid-air. 2 deaths in one session from the same person. That's not bad luck, that's being on someone's grocery list. Feng checks the haul and his eyebrows go up. Songfei was carrying over 2,000 days of tradable lifespan on his person. This man was a walking bank vault and he just got robbed blind. But then Feng notices something genuinely disturbing. None of the fangirls had any tradable lifespan on them at all. Every single day they earned, they'd already funneled directly into Songfei. These girls donated their literal life expectancy to a man they've never met in person. Feng shakes his head and wonders if these people still think God's forsaken game is just a game. The non-tradable lifespan they lost to those deaths adds up to centuries of combined real life, and now it'll just feed the monsters roaming this valley. Brainwashed fans are terrifying. Song Fei respawns again looking absolutely wrecked. He's down to just 500 days of tradable lifespan and he's demanding to know why the detection skills didn't work. That confident grin from earlier? Gone. Completely gone. The archer girl explains that her eagle eye only detected their own assassin sister, not Shadow. She realizes there's a stealth level stat in her attributes and Shadow's must be higher than her detection can reach. Song Fei pieces it together. Eagle eye is anti-stealth level 1. Shadow's stealth is level 2 or higher, which means the detection is completely useless, and there's literally nothing they can do to see him coming. The man is fighting a ghost. And then this incredible specimen of a human being starts wondering if maybe Shadow is targeting him out of jealousy for his gorgeous looks. I cannot make this up. He's been murdered twice and his first instinct is to blame his own handsomeness. So he makes the only rational decision he's made all day and announces they're relocating to a different farming spot. The fangirls raise their staffs in unison, swearing to follow wherever he goes, which is less heroic than it sounds when the reason is running away. Some time passes and Feng materializes back in Firefly Town, but the streets have changed. The fangirl parade that was everywhere before has completely vanished. Feng notices immediately. Song Fei and his entire group are gone. Either they switched towns or logged off, and either way his main target just slipped through his fingers. So he does the simplest thing possible and just asks a random player. The guy nearly jumps out of his skin when Shadow appears next to him mid-sentence and immediately recognizes who he's talking to. This absolute sellout immediately snitches, tells Feng exactly which direction Song Fei went, and then has the audacity to beg Shadow to spare his girlfriend who happens to be one of Song Fei's fangirls. Meanwhile, Feng internally notes that the girlfriend was probably the one detecting his stealth earlier. The guy is literally begging and pleading about how hard it was to find a girlfriend while Feng just dissolves into shadow smoke mid-conversation. This poor man is talking to a swirl of darkness that stopped carrying 3 words in. But Feng knows that just having a direction isn't enough. He doesn't know their destination and searching blind would waste too much time. What he needs is Gu Yixu and her tracking ability. And then he spots her. Long blonde braid, dark robes, a silhouette that immediately catches Feng off guard and makes him freeze mid-step. Gu Yixue, the future Godslayer guild manager herself, standing right there with her owl companion perched on her hand and a staff that screams hidden class energy. She looks like the kind of woman who could heal your wounds and judge your life choices simultaneously, and I am respectfully losing all higher brain function. Feng walks right up to her, calls her beautiful lady, and asks if she can give him a hand. Yixue immediately recognizes the cloaked figure as Shadow and her expression shifts from curiosity to genuine interest. He pulls out a gold-tier priest-staff and dangles it in front of her like a carrot on a string. Find Song Fei's location using your wide area search, and this weapon is yours at a discount. Yixue's eyes literally sparkle when she sees it. Yixue's first reaction is confusion because she never told anyone about her area search ability. How does this stranger know what her hidden class can do? But Feng deflects the question and asks if she wants the gold weapon or not, and those star-shaped pupils tell us the answer. Feng quotes 500 days as the price. She says she just barely has that much. Deal accepted on the spot without a single second of haggling. This transaction happened faster than most restaurant orders. Transaction successful. Yixu grabs her new gold-tier staff and giggles over it like a kid who just got the exact toy she wanted for her birthday. There's something genuinely endearing about watching the future strongest priest in the game fangirl over a weapon. And then Feng reaches over and pats her on the head like she's a golden retriever who just performed a trick. And honestly, the gap between their power levels makes this interaction feel exactly that lopsided. Yixu blushes but snaps back to business mode as Feng tells her to hurry up. The way she reflexively obeys while still being flustered is creating an energy that I am absolutely not going to overthink right now. As she prepares the search, Yixu thinks to herself that Shadow feels strangely familiar even though they've never met. Then she asks if he's worried she'll just take the staff and bail, and Feng counters by asking if she hates Song Fei, which catches her completely off guard. Yixu is shook. He knows about her hidden ability and he knows she hates Song Fei. She asks if he's a real-life friend but doesn't recognize his voice. Feng just grins under the mask and says, "Wanna guess?" This man is playing mind games with a future guild leader and enjoying every second. Yixu decides she can't be bothered guessing, and sends her owl skyward to begin the area search. Feng tells her to go on, and the divine owl launches into the sunset, trailing golden light behind it like a guided missile with feathers. And there it is. This close-up of Yixue's face with those golden eyes and that soft expression. The artist gave this woman the kind of quiet beauty that sneaks up on you and then refuses to leave your brain. Xiaoyu had better watch her back because the priestess slot in Feng's story just got a major upgrade. The owl soars over the canyon landscape, scanning every corner of the surrounding territory with divine tracking magic, while the sunset paints everything gold. And it doesn't take long. Yeshua calls out that she found Song Fei, and Feng now has a lock on the one target he came to this town to collect. Yixu's owl drops the payload. Coordinates locked, Song Fei's position confirmed. But she warns they might relocate before Feng can close the distance. Feng doesn't hesitate. Add me as a friend, keep tracking, update me live. Yixue asks how long she needs to babysit this, and Feng's already mid-sprint telling her it won't take more than a moment. And this fool just tears through the canyon like a missile with a grudge, cloak billowing behind him as the sun paints everything gold. But then something catches his eye and he freezes mid-stride. Full stop. Dead halt in the middle of the canyon, and Yixue's already confused, asking why the expert suddenly stopped running. Because standing right in front of him is a massive ancient tree with a glowing symbol carved into the bark. And Feng, being the reincarnated walking encyclopedia that he is, immediately asks Yixue to scan for more trees like this one nearby. Yixu reports back instantly. One about 100 meters ahead, another 100 meters to the left. This entire area is littered with them. Feng walks up to the tree and presses his palm against the symbol like he's done this 1,000 times before, and fire erupts from the trunk. He moves to the next one without a word of explanation, activating it the same way while muttering about the symbol pattern. The symbol blazes to life under his fingertips, and when Yisui asks what it means, this smug genius just says, "Take a guess." A pillar of light detonates from the ground and splits the sky open, energy crackling across the entire canyon like someone just plugged the earth into a power outlet. And from the epicenter, a jade-tier treasure chest materializes in a bath of flame. This lunatic just casually triggered an ancient god's blessing in the starter zone like it was a daily quest. Feng barely even looks impressed, just notes that it spawned a chest like he expected nothing less. Now here's how ancient god's blessings work. Certain areas have hidden symbols scattered around, and activating all of them triggers the blessing. Some spawn bosses, some spawn hordes, some drop treasure, and some give unique rewards you can't get anywhere else. Yuxue loses her mind because this chest is worth at least 1,000 days of tradable lifespan, which converts to over 10 million in real currency. Meanwhile, Feng's doing mental math from his past life, knowing the exchange rate is about to skyrocket 50-fold by tomorrow. And Yuxue, clever little opportunist that she is, watched exactly how Feng swiped those symbols and is already scheming about using her scouting skills to find more blessings on her own. Feng cracks the chest and out pops a jade-tier universal skill book called Blossoming Curse, which means absolutely nothing to him until he reads the description. This skill is genuinely disgusting. Use it on a fresh corpse within 15 seconds of death, and a cursed flower blooms from the body, draining every single day of tradable lifespan the victim has until they hit 0. No cooldown. He recognizes it from his previous life, smashes the learn button without a millisecond of hesitation. Feng declares out loud that Songfei's vacation is officially cancelled. The plan is surgical. Hunt him until he logs off, grind to level 10, extract his abilities into the real world, and then finish the job where there's no respawn button. Meanwhile, across the map, a fire-wreathed beast is getting absolutely bombarded with spells and lightning. Songfei's entire cult is here, staffs raised in perfect formation, pelting this poor monster with everything they've got like it insulted their idol on social media. And this clown is actually feeling safe, thinks they've run far enough that Shadow couldn't possibly track them here. The man got robbed twice, and his takeaway is that the mugger probably got bored. Close up on Songfei's face and he's already talking about revenge. Once I grind high enough, I'll settle the score with that damn Shadow. Brother, you are on someone's kill list and you're making 5-year plans. But then one of the fangirls spots something in the distance. Someone else is fighting a boss nearby. And the reaction is immediate. Those people look familiar. Those are New Jackie's fans. Songfei's entire group goes from 0 to war zone in half a second, because apparently there's a rival celebrity fandom operating in the same zone. The fangirls absolutely detonate. They're screaming about how New Jackie's fans are pests, and one of them rallies the troops like a general ordering a cavalry charge. Sisters, kill them all, we can't let these losers threaten brothers' ranking. The poor players fighting the boss see the stampede coming and think, oh great, reinforcements. They have no idea what's about to happen. They call out to Songfei's group all friendly, saying the boss is almost dead, help us finish it off together. And a staff goes straight through someone's face. The friendly invitation gets answered with blunt force trauma. One of the fangirls drives her weapon down on the guy's skull with the kind of intensity reserved for people who've personally wronged you, which this man absolutely did not. The other group is in complete shock. Their teammate goes down and a girl screams "ah" long as everyone tries to figure out why these maniacs are attacking friendlies. Songfei's fangirls stand over the bodies radiating pure cultist energy and declare that this is the fate of anyone who supports New Jackie. Fan wars have officially gone lethal. One girl screams that she doesn't even know who New Jackie is, and honestly that might be the most tragic part of this entire massacre. She doesn't even finish her sentence before Songfei catches a projectile straight to the dome, ice shards ripping through his face while he stands there looking like a golden retriever that just got sprayed with a hose. Someone screams Meisha as the counterattack lands and blood sprays everywhere. Turns out New Jackie's side wasn't going to just take it. But Songfei's army rolls right over them while chanting actual war poems. With gold we rise, with Fei we fly, sweep the new scum, conquer the sky. These people have memorized rally cries for their celebrity crush. In a death game, where lifespan is real, they're simultaneously fighting the boss and murdering innocent bystanders while screaming poetry, and at this point I'm genuinely concerned for everyone involved. Full pandemonium. Spells flying, the boss is flailing, fans are chanting brother in unison, and this entire battlefield has the energy of a concert mosh pit that somehow obtained magical weapons. Songfei emerges from the wreckage thanking his dear family while internally noting he almost got ambushed by New Jackie's fans. Brother, they were fighting a monster, you ambushed them. And the fangirls respond with tears of joy, chanting no need to thank us and roam far and wide, with Fei we ride. This is the most unhinged parasocial relationship in any fictional universe, and I've seen a lot of them. But guess who's been watching this entire circus from across the river the whole time? Feng activates his shadow form and the darkness wraps around him like a second skin. Shadow tendrils coiling off his cloak while his eyes glow through the hood. This man is about to deliver a customer service complaint in person. He phases into the ground, nothing left but a swirl of black and blue energy where a person used to stand. And then the voice comes from the shadows. Songfei, you. The fangirls go pale, and Songfei's face drains of every ounce of that manufactured confidence. Are already dead. The blade carves through the group before anyone can react, and the fangirls watch their own bodies separate from their health bars in real time. The surviving fangirls are sobbing and screaming brother as their world collapses around them for the 4th time today. Feng physically grabs Songfei by the collar, shadow energy ripping through the group while someone hits the ground behind them. This isn't a fight, this is a foreclosure. And those golden eyes narrow as 2 words form on his lips. Blossoming curse. A massive blood-red flower erupts from Songfei's corpse, petals unfurling into the sky like something beautiful and deeply, deeply wrong. That new skill didn't waste any time introducing itself. The fangirls are screaming and clawing at the cursed vines as red tendrils wrap around their fallen bodies too, draining everything they own while they shriek about not knowing what's happening. Now let's check in on how our favorite celebrity is handling his latest death. Songfei crashes into the respawn circle in town looking like a man who just got ejected from his own funeral. He immediately starts panicking. This shadow guy tracked him across the entire map. Is he insane? And then, because Songfei's brain operates on a different frequency than reality, he wonders if maybe Shadow is jealous of his female fanbase. But the real horror hits when he checks his stats. His tradable lifespan is draining in real time. 400, 390, 380, 370. Something is siphoning his life savings while he's standing in a safe zone. He's watching the number plummet and genuinely does not understand why. Under 400 now, and still dropping. Is there some kind of penalty for dying too much? Brother, there's a penalty alright, but it's got petals. His fangirls start materializing on respawn circles all around the town square, looking like they just crawled out of a washing machine on the wrong cycle. They rush over screaming that something's wrong. That shadow guy used some skill, and a blood-red flower grew on his corpse, and it seems to be absorbing something from him. Songfei puts it together and his face goes white. A flower on his corpse is drinking his lifespan like a smoothie. 350, 340, 330. He screams that Shadow is trying to kill him for real, and honestly, that is exactly what's happening. Panic mode activated. Songfei starts screaming for everyone to log off immediately, says he'll buy lifespan with real money and come back stronger. The fangirls raise their fists, swearing to follow, and the whole group prepares to rage quit in unison. And right before he disappears, Songfei looks directly into the void and swears that money will solve this. 2.5 years of grinding, and he refuses to believe he can't buy his way past one assassin. Is this strategy, or is this just a rich kid having a tantrum? You tell me. Back at the battlefield, the blossoming cursed flowers sway in the evening breeze, petals scattering like crimson snow. Genuinely beautiful if you ignore the part where they're eating people alive. Feng stands among a garden of corpses, golden rings of harvested lifespan spiraling around him as the cursed flowers do their work on every body in the field. The most efficient farmer in this game doesn't even need to swing his weapon twice. The system pings him with a Slayer Tier 4 warning, meaning if he dies now, he loses nearly 97% of his lifespan. But Feng doesn't even blink. He just notes another 1,000 days collected and that the absorption stopped because they logged off. Yichu's owl circles overhead in silence, having just witnessed the entire slaughter from a bird's eye view. And Yishu herself is holding her owl with those golden eyes wide open, whispering that so this is the power of the rank 1 player, Shadow. The word she uses is terrifying, and honestly she's being polite about it. Feng checks in with her casually. Did Songfei log off? Yichu confirms the whole group went offline. Good. Keep watching and notify me the second he comes back. This man has set up a permanent surveillance state on one celebrity. Yixiu asks if she can leave, and Feng sweetens the deal on the spot. He's got a gold-tier priest skill book called Holy Judgment Sword. Yixiu practically teleports with excitement, agreeing immediately, and Feng tells her to wait for him in town. She chirps back a happy okay, and the dynamic between these two is the most wholesome thing happening in a game where people's real lifespans are being harvested. Back in town, Feng dangles the skill book and offers it at half price, 500 days. But there's one condition. Yixue immediately squeaks and says she doesn't sell herself, and I genuinely cannot tell if she's joking or if this man just accidentally created the most suspicious business proposition in gaming history. Feng is visibly sweating behind the mask as he clarifies that the condition is just joining a team as their permanent healer. Nothing weird, read the contract before panicking. Yixu agrees with a little smirk, says fine, but if the team is trash, she's bringing her complaints straight to him. Those pink eyes and that blonde hair tilted to the side. This woman weaponizes cute, and I refuse to build any immunity to it. They head out together through town, and Feng tells her not to worry. The team is decent. He'll contact them right now. Quick cut to somewhere else entirely. Rain pouring down, a green serpent-like monster getting absolutely gutted. Purple blood spraying across the mud. A warrior stands over the corpse in the downpour, celebrating that they finally took it down. Keep your eye on this team. Except now the captain is poisoned and screaming for his healer, Xiao Yu, to cleanse him before he dies. She looks at him like he just asked her to solve a math equation during a house fire. Xiao, you remember she has this skill, and grabs her staff with the confidence of someone who has used it exactly 0 times, shouting watch me like she's about to nail a trick shot. She fires off the cleanse and a massive holy symbol rips through the air toward her captain. It hits the tree behind him. The entire team stares in disbelief. An orange-haired girl's jaw is on the ground. Xiao Yu covers her mouth and whispers, sorry I missed. She missed a cleanse on a poisoned ally standing 10 feet away. That's not a skill issue, that's a spiritual crisis. The captain faceplants into the mud from poison damage while the whole team screams his name. Their healer just sent the cure into the wilderness, and their leader paid for it with his dignity. Back in town, the team stands around Xiao Yu in visible pain. The energy radiating from these 3 men is the energy of a group project where one person did nothing. Wang Meng is internally spiraling. They need to replace her, but all the good hidden class healers are already locked into other teams. Meanwhile, Xiao Yu is off by herself thinking the game is easy and that she just needs to keep grinding to meet her beloved brother Song Fei. And right on cue, a message from Feng drops into Wang Meng's inbox. He knows a hidden class white avian priestess who's pretty strong. Wang Meng doesn't even hesitate. If the expert says she's good, she's good. They're already planning to ditch Shelltown because it's overcrowded anyway. Perfect timing to relocate to Ember Town, which means someone has to break the news to Xiao Yu. Wang Meng clears his throat with the energy of a man about to commit a social crime. He tells her straight up, they're moving to a higher level zone and she's too low level to come. The diplomatic translation of "you're fired because you cleansed a tree instead of me." Xiao Yu tries to protest that she can still contribute, but the boys are already sprinting away at full speed, yelling "no time, gotta go, take care." They literally fled the conversation. Xiao Yu snaps, calls them all out for being cowards, says she was sick of them anyway, and declares she'll go find expert Shadow to carry her instead. Ma'am, Shadow would eat you alive and not notice. Wang Meng arrives in Ember Town and spots Feng immediately, waving and calling out to the expert while Yishu stands beside him holding her new skill book. Wang Meng pays up 800 days for some previous gear and mentions that a Captain An still owes Feng the remaining 500. Yishu immediately perks up at the name. Feng introduces her as Snowy Day and the party building has officially begun. And then someone calls out Wang Meng's name from across the square. Oh my. Justice Execution walks in wearing armor that covers the strategic minimum and a cape that exists purely for dramatic effect, carrying a spear like she was born holding it. The artist drew her like a direct provocation and I am provoked. Feng recognizes her immediately. And you. Player ID Justice Execution. Unique hidden class Dragon Knight. In his past life, she was top 20 globally and a pillar of Great Xiao's official military forces. This woman is not decoration, she's a weapon of state. And Yu shakes his hand with a bright smile, gushing that she admires Shadow and this is her first time meeting someone who outranked her in his previous life. The gap between how warm she seems and how dangerous Feng knows she is makes this handshake feel like defusing a bomb. She asks about his insane leveling speed and even jokes that he might be a time traveler or reincarnator. Blue eyes, short dark hair, midriff on full display while casually dropping the most accurate guess anyone has ever made. This woman is dangerously perceptive and I am dangerously distracted. Feng's internal alarm bells are ringing. In his past life, she was on a completely different team from Wang Meng. Something in the timeline already shifted and he needs to figure out why. Meanwhile, another 500 days of lifespan rolls into his account, and Yu offers to buy any gear he sells in the future, then casually mentions she's carrying all of Zhanghai City's official tradable lifespan on her person. And then with a smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes, she asks him if he'd kill her. That's not a question, that's a negotiation tactic. Feng reassures her that cooperation benefits them both, and then Yu laughs it off saying she knew he was smart. But internally, Feng reads every single word she just said as a calculated probe. The rumors were right. And Yu acts sweet but thinks like a blade, and having her as Great Xia's liaison is going to save him a mountain of trouble. Now while Feng is building his empire in Ember Town, the real world is having a full-blown meltdown because the official announcement just dropped and every single Feng girl is screaming at her phone. And this one right here is having the worst realization of her entire life because she already donated every scrap of tradable lifespan she had to brother Song Fei before anyone told her that lifespan equals real death. Another one is screaming that she only has a few years left. And the sheer volume of poor life decisions in this friend group could fill an ocean. Turns out some of these fangirls have been going full PvP in the game, racking up killer status, which means dying costs them double. One of them only died 3 times, but her penalties stacked so hard she's down to almost nothing, and she's realizing the math does not lie. Then the tank mage fangirl drops the bomb that she has 1 day of lifespan left, because she spent the entire game sprinting into the front line like a maniac, and the denial in her voice is absolutely heartbreaking and hilarious at the same time. But then she sees that Song Fei is buying lifespans and her brain does a full 180 from existential dread to blind optimism. He'll definitely help me, she says, with the confidence of someone who should absolutely not be confident right now. And she's pulling out Song Fei branded lingerie, leopard print bra and matching thong. Official merchandise, Song Fei Ultra Thin Anti-Leak Edition. This man has monetized every square inch of his fanbase, and I mean every square inch. She puts it on and struts out like she's walking a runway at Milan Fashion Week. Headband and all, Song Fei's face printed directly on her chest. The sparkle effects around her are doing more heavy lifting than any outfit in anime history. And off she goes, sprinting toward her idol with less than a day of lifespan left and zero self-preservation instinct, screaming his name into the void like a guided missile of devotion. Meanwhile, somewhere across the city in a completely different building, a girl wakes up in her dorm, half tangled in her sheets, muttering that she can't even tell the difference between the game and reality anymore. Keep your eye on this one, because she immediately checks the market rate and realizes lifespan is selling for 15,000 yuan per day. She has 200 days. This girl just woke up a millionaire, and she knows it, those blue eyes lighting up like she hit the lottery. But then she reads something that wipes that grin clean off her face. Shadow massacred brother Song Fei 3 times. The news hits her like a freight train, and you can feel the vibe in her dorm plummet from millionaire excitement to funeral silence. She's trembling, hand over her mouth, tears pooling in those pretty blue eyes as she scrolls through the group chat, and the reality of what happened sinks in. She starts doing the math out loud, and it destroys her. Even if Song Fei originally had 100 years of non-tradable lifespan, 3 deaths just shaved him down to about 12 years left. She's openly sobbing, saying his name over and over, and she can't comprehend how Shadow did it. Killed Song Fei 3 times while being swarmed by dozens of people. She's sitting there whispering about how terrifying he is, and honestly, she's not wrong. Then the fangirl group chat explodes. Brother needs our help. Sisters in Jianghai City, go sell your tradable lifespan to him right now. And this girl's eyes go wide because she's reading it in real time. Songfei is at Dajiang Plaza buying lifespan at a ratio of 1 to 10,000. The fangirl network is mobilizing like a military operation, promising everyone they'll get rich while saving their idol at the same time. And this girl is standing there in her school uniform clutching her phone, realizing Dajiang Plaza is right next to her and there's no way she's gonna sit here while Songfei's lifespan bleeds out. She takes off sprinting through the hallways with 200 days of tradable lifespan she saved up specifically because of all those people she robbed in the game, and now every bit of it is going straight to her idol. The irony is staggering. Now let's check back on the man who caused all this chaos because Feng is still in the game, and he's carving through giant crustaceans like he's prepping a seafood buffet. This fool is soloing an entire beach worth of monsters, golden energy tearing through everything with shells, and the loot is practically raining down around him. And then it happens. Level 10. First player in Jianghai City. First in Daisha. First in the entire world. Career advancement unlocked. 21 reputation points globally. This man just speedran the entire player base on a planet of billions. The global announcement hits every server simultaneously and random players are staring at the sky like they just witnessed a prophecy. It's Shadow again, they say, like they expected anyone else. Two guys on the ground are gossiping about it, and one of them goes, yeah, he also farmed that little idol several times, and the other one says, Songfei deserved it. The public opinion on this rivalry is firmly on Feng's side. Meanwhile, other nations are losing their minds. A player from Tianzhu is asking if nobody out of 1.5 billion people can catch up to one guy from Desha. A smith with a hidden profession is only level 8 and feeling personally attacked by the gap. Feng pulls up his stat sheet and it reads like a cheat engine output. Level 10. 1200 years of non-tradable lifespan, over 7,000 days tradable, agility at 111, but he frowns because 7,000 days still isn't enough for what he has planned. He runs the numbers on unlocking teleportation to the abandoned continent of the gods. Needs 7 players at level 10. The next highest player is only level 7. He's gonna have to wait, but that's fine with him because there's something he needs to settle back in reality. And the way he says it while staring out at the ocean tells you this is not a casual errand. His avatar dissolves into the sand and light like ink washing away in the tide. Shadow has logged off, cut to the real world. Feng is lying on his bed in his apartment, perfectly still, looking like any other college-age kid sleeping off a late night. Then his eyes snap open and they are glowing gold. That is not a normal wake-up. That's a system boot sequence wearing a human body. He sits up, opens his extraction panel right there in his bedroom, and the menu is terrifying. Extract class, extract equipment, extract skills. Lineage and divinity are still locked, but the first 3 are wide open and ready to eat lifespan. Extract class. 1,000 days of tradable lifespan gone. The shadow profession manifests in reality, blue energy wrapping around him like a second skin. His physical stats jump immediately. This man just installed a cheat code into his real body. Extract level 2. Another 2,000 days consumed. He's level 3 in reality now. Strength +4, constitution +4, agility +14. He's dumping lifespan like a whale dropping currency on a gacha banner, and every single pull is hitting. Next up, abilities. He reaches for the skill extraction and something catches him off guard. The extraction cost for skills is based on their original grade, not the evolved grade. His shadow skill evolved to emerald tier in the game, but the extraction only charges for the base platinum price. 900 days for a skill that should cost 10 times that. He's almost smiling. 900 days for platinum grade shadow. 2,262 for silver grade venomous dart. Both extracted. 1,292 days of lifespan left in the bank, and 2 of the most broken abilities in the game now live inside his real body. He tests his body and his physical stats have doubled a normal human's. Agility at 32 points, which officially exceeds the biological ceiling of what a person should be capable of. Unlimited invisibility. Poisonous darts effective up to 14 meters. And he already knows exactly who the first target is. He checks his phone and there it is. Songfei is wildly buying up lifespan in real life. Dajiang Plaza. 7 or 8 kilometers from where Feng is standing. At his current speed, that's a 10-minute jog. This fool is about to sprint across a city to commit the most public assassination in gaming history. But before he can head out, his phone starts vibrating with an incoming message. It's Hu Qibin, his corporate supervisor, sending the most delusional text he's ever received. Threatening Feng for not answering the phone, ranting about some young lady who has her eyes on him, telling him to cooperate or else. This clown picked the single worst day in history to flex authority on a superhuman assassin. Feng reads the entire tirade, mutters one word, and blacklists him. That man just got permanently erased from Feng's life in under 2 seconds, and he doesn't even know it yet. He steps outside and activates Shadow. Darkness wraps around his body in tendrils as he merges with the night, phone in hand, moving through the city like a ghost wearing a college jacket. And with eyes glowing behind that calm face, he says it. These people will soon realize what the real godforsaken game is. Not a game, not entertainment, a hunting ground that just broke into reality. Now cut to Dajiang Plaza, and you need to understand the scale of what Songfei has built, because this is not a fan meetup. This is a stadium-sized concert with holograms the size of buildings and a sea of purple light sticks stretching to the horizon. Tens of thousands of fans packed shoulder to shoulder, screaming his name so loud the audio is distorting. These people are not playing around with their devotion. The crowd is a wall of noise as Songfei's name echoes from every direction, hands in the air, light sticks waving, and on stage 2 people are sitting in velvet chairs like royalty surveying their kingdom. Songfei himself, blonde and pretty as a manufactured product should be, sitting beside a woman in a suit who radiates the kind of corporate danger that makes boardrooms go silent. The woman, who appears to be Songfei's sister and manager rolled into one, leans over with green eyes glinting and casually mentions she's already sent people to investigate Shadow's true identity. Just a normal Tuesday for this family apparently. Songfei raises an eyebrow and asks what they've found so far. And the irritation on his face is real because getting bodied 3 times in a row will do that to a man's ego. She's already dispatched someone to Yinghu Town to approach Shadow directly and offer him a number he can't refuse. And then she adds with a grin that they'll wait until he logs back into reality to collect the money, which means they want his real-world identity. And she drops the real plan. Once they have him, they'll capture Shadow in the real world and let brother Songfei teach him a lesson he'll never forget. Those green eyes and that smile do not belong on someone planning a kidnapping. Songfei mentions that Dajang Industry has been using this exact playbook to round up strong players and force them into unpaid labor. He's aware this is morally bankrupt, he just doesn't care. And to prove how little they care, the sister gestures to a guy tied up and bloodied in the background like furniture nobody bothered to put away, laughing that Songfei's method is even better, because the fans will hand over their lifespan and their lives for free. This family is genuinely unhinged. Songfei sits there touching his chin with the smug confidence of a man who has never once been held accountable for anything. But someone in the crowd just threw a wrench into the entire production because a man is screaming from the stands that nobody should be selling their lifespan recklessly. Did you not see the official announcement? He's yelling at the top of his lungs that if your lifespan hits 0 in the game, you will actually die in the real world. And the silence that follows is the first honest moment this concert has produced. Then the man points directly at Songfei and calls him out for knowingly brainwashing fans into selling their actual lives for his benefit. He's threatening to report him to the authorities. And you know what? He has a point that nobody in this arena wants to hear. Songfei doesn't even flinch. He brushes his hair back with a little smile and mutters that someone came to make trouble, like a man who has handled this exact PR crisis 100 times before. He grabs the microphone, stands up, and delivers the most rehearsed, emotionally manipulative apology speech I have ever witnessed in fiction. Thanking fans, expressing regret, talking about positive energy. This man missed his calling as a politician, and his fans eat it up instantly. They're screaming not to apologize, that he did nothing wrong, fists in the air like he just announced a revolution instead of the most transparent damage control speech in history. Songfei keeps going, says he uses personal assets to buy lifespan, that he wants to be a quality idol worthy of everyone's affection. He's calling for rational love and positive energy while literally harvesting their lifespans off stage. Is this the most two-faced villain we've seen so far? I genuinely think it might be. The fans in the crowd are completely sold, eyes watering, hanging on every calculated word. Songfei says he wants to give back to them and be a person everyone can be proud of. The manipulation is so clean it's almost artful. And then he squeezes out a tear. A single perfectly timed tear rolling down his face as he says he never expected to cause so much trouble. Bravo. Give this man an Oscar for best manipulation in a live setting. The fans are absolutely wrecked. Girls are sobbing, screaming that he doesn't need to apologize, that he never did anything wrong. The emotional override is complete and rational thought has left the building. They're wailing about how gentle he is, crying into each other's shoulders, screaming brother like they're watching a funeral instead of a concert. The parasocial infection in this arena has reached terminal levels. The heckler tries to fight back, but Songfei's defenders are already on the offensive, calling him a savage and telling him to get out. The fangirls rally around their brother's sincerity like soldiers around a flag, and this poor man never stood a chance. And then our leopard print champion from earlier shows up, screaming that nobody should listen to those garbage rumors with a mouth that could swallow a small country. She has somehow gotten herself onto the actual stage, standing next to Songfei in her branded lingerie, declaring that anyone with a pig's brain would fall for such obvious lies. How could a game's lifespan possibly affect reality? The irony of this woman defending the man who is actively harvesting her remaining hours is genuinely painful. She beats her chest and declares she'd gladly die for brother. Her lifespan warning says she has less than a day left, and she is still standing here just fine. And then she hits the crowd with the ultimate loyalty test. If you won't sacrifice for him, you don't deserve to say you love him. And the crowd breaks. They're sobbing, screaming that she's right, crying out that they love Songfei, and rational thought just died its final death in this arena. Fans start pledging lifespan like an auction from the underworld. 20 days, 17 days, 3 days. They're bidding on their own deaths with smiles on their faces, and there is not a single person left in this building who is going to stop them. Songfei spreads his arms and declares he can feel everyone's enthusiasm, that he loves them all. The screams could crack glass. This man is feeding on worship like it's a fifth food group. Then he walks over to the big fangirl, looks her dead in the eyes, and says, especially you. I am truly grateful to be liked by someone like you. He's singling out the woman with less than a day to live and thanking her for the privilege of watching her die for him. She is gone. Absolutely gone. Tears streaming, heart floating out of her head, saying that even if she dies right now, she'd be happy because she got to see brother up close. This is the saddest thing I've watched in this entire manhwa, and it's competing with actual death scenes. Songfei gives the camera a single glistening tear surrounded by sparkles and flower petals like a shoujo protagonist, while internally celebrating the mountain of lifespan about to roll into his account. The most dangerous villain in this story does not carry a weapon. He carries a microphone, and then something hits him from behind so fast the sparkles haven't even finished falling. Songfei's expression cracks and the fangirl is staring up at him as his body jolts forward from an impact nobody saw coming. The crowd freezes. Faces that were crying with joy 1 second ago are now locked in pure horror as blue energy crackles through the arena. Songfei's sister turns from her seat backstage and her green eyes are filled with something she has never experienced before. Genuine fear. Songfei's face in close-up, blood on his lips, blue energy splitting through his vision. Those blue eyes that charm millions of fans are now registering something they've never had to process. He crumples forward onto the fangirl, his hair disintegrating at the edges, energy ripping through him from what looks like a venomous dart that appeared out of thin air. Songfei's stolen lifespan is evaporating in real time. His body collapses completely, slumping against the fangirl on the stage floor, and a crackling bolt of energy erupts from where his lifespan used to be. The most popular idol in the country is face down on his own concert stage. The fangirl looks down at the man draped over her with the confused, empty expression of someone whose brain has not yet accepted what her eyes are seeing. Songfei's sister rushes toward the bodies on stage as the entire arena erupts into screaming. He's down. He's actually down, in front of 50,000 witnesses. The crowd is shrieking. Brother Songfei, what happened to brother? The wails tear through the stadium like a shockwave and nobody has any idea what they just watched. Brother Songfei is dead. The fans are screaming it into the air like saying it louder might undo it, and where his body lies one detail jumps out. His tradable lifespan is labeled missing. Somebody collected it before it even hit the ground. The sister's bodyguards grab her immediately and start dragging her toward the exit. There's danger, they say. Secure the young lady, they know exactly what this is. An assassination by someone using game abilities in reality. The crowd is stampeding in panic, girls crying and shoving each other to escape, and the sister is being rushed through the chaos, screaming to run because whatever just killed Songfei is still here. But she saw it. When Songfei died, a ball of lifespan light appeared on his body and then vanished into thin air. Someone invisible picked it up, and the sister's mind is already connecting the dots at terrifying speed. Game skills used in real life, instant kill plus lifespan theft. She's running through every player who could possibly do that, and every answer leads to the same person. The only person who can do that is that person. A beam of blue energy punches clean through one of her bodyguards before she can even finish the thought. The man who was supposed to protect her folds like paper, her face in close-up. Blood splattered across it that isn't hers. Green eyes blown wide open as the energy tears past her and she realizes she is not escaping this plaza tonight. The bodyguards scream for the young lady as they crumble around her, and standing in the middle of the fleeing crowd with blue lightning coiling off his body like a living weapon is a dark-haired boy in a college jacket who does not look like he's in any rush. Shadow energy spiraling around him, civilians scattering in every direction, and the word that leaves the sister's lips is the only name that matters anymore. Shadow. He's not hiding behind a screen anymore. Feng brought the game into the real world, and this city is never going to be the same. The sun sets on a city that will never feel safe again. The news breaks like a bomb. Celebrity Zhu Fei, dead at Dajing Square. And his most loyal fangirl, the one who swore she'd die for him, kept her promise and dropped right beside his body after donating every last second of her life. Police officially rule the cause of death as supernatural, and two schoolgirls are sitting in the back of a car staring at their phones like the ground just opened beneath them. Xiaoyu is barely holding it together, tears streaming, whispering that they were just watching brother Zhu Fei's concert yesterday and now he's gone. Her brain starts connecting dots at dangerous speed. Throwing knives, stealth, game abilities used in reality, and Shadow already murdered Zhu Fei 3 times inside the game. This girl is building a case faster than any detective, but the real question hits them both like a truck. How on earth can abilities from a video game manifest in the real world? And just like that, sitting alone in the back of a taxi, Xiaoyu puts it all together. Throwing knives, cloaking, assassin abilities. The killer has to be Shadow. She's convinced of it down to her bones. Her world goes dark. Brother has been killed by Shadow. The light in her life is gone, and the only thing she can focus on is that Shadow brought the game's power into reality. But instead of collapsing, something shifts in her eyes. She wants to get close to Shadow. Be near him. Get stronger. No matter what it costs. The taxi screeches to a stop and both girls step out with a purpose that wasn't there 5 minutes ago. Starting from today, she says, she has one single objective: kill Shadow, avenge brother Zhu Fei. And the look on this girl's face right now would make actual murderers uncomfortable. Even her friend is backing away, saying she looks terrifying. Keep your eye on this one because she just became the most dangerous fangirl in this entire story. Meanwhile, the man who just committed the most public assassination in modern history is peacefully slurping noodles at a roadside restaurant like he just got off a light jog. Because here's the thing about the godforsaken game. Even if you're functionally invincible in reality, using abilities still burns energy. And when you're hungry, you eat. Simple as that. His phone starts vibrating on the table, and this fool hasn't even finished his bowl yet. It's a message from his old job. Fatty Hu is furious. Feng blocked his number and his WeChat, and if he doesn't show up immediately, he's fired with no salary this month. Feng reads this with the energy of a man checking spam. Now here's where we meet young Xiaoya. Sweet personality, gets pushed around constantly, and in Feng's previous life she was a loyal member of his Godslayer guild. He tells her to forget the job, hop on the game, and start grinding. Xiaoya asks how his game earnings are going, and this idiot casually says he spent almost everything already. She assumes he bought a car and a house, which is hilarious because what he actually bought was raw statistical power to delete a celebrity on live television. But in his mind, the real problem isn't his old boss. It's the boss above his boss, Qian Shishi. And who is Qian Shishi? Daughter of the CEO of the entire Qian group, a woman who does nothing but collect men beneath her station for sport, and apparently she's now set her sights on Feng. The stories about this woman would not survive a single screening process. But the real danger isn't her love life. In Feng's previous timeline, Qian Shishi ditched the country, joined a foreign guild called Alice in Wonderland, and spent the rest of her career systematically destroying everything Daxia and the Godslayer guild built. She is a walking national security threat dressed in designer heels. Feng's calculation is surgical. Eliminate her before she leaves the country. Once she reaches North America, she's untouchable. But if Qian Shishi dies now, Alice in Wonderland never gets established in the first place. Because apparently the whole foundation of that guild is held together by what Qian Shishi does behind closed doors with its founding members. And the visual the manhwa gives us here is genuinely unhinged. The moment she's gone, their little alliance crumbles overnight. His phone buzzes again, and this time the caller ID reads Xiaoyu. Feng picks up and Xiaoyu immediately comes out swinging. She thought he died in the game, she earned enough to buy a house, and she never wants to hear from him again. Real sisterly warmth right there. Feng's response is 2 words, okay, and? She screams not to contact her, not to find her, not to even think about where she lives. He says sure, if there's nothing else, he's hanging up. The emotional investment this man puts into family drama is genuinely zero. She shrieks that she wants to cut all communication, and he just says okay and walks out. And somewhere on the other end of that call, Xiaoyu is having a full breakdown because the one person she expected to fight back couldn't care less. This man's emotional unavailability is operating at a professional level. Feng steps into the sunlight already thinking about his next move. He needs to keep leveling up because it won't be long before other players hit level 10 and discover that game abilities can be extracted into the real world. And when that happens, the world as everyone knows it is finished. He's staring out at this city knowing full well he just lit the first match in a fire nobody can contain. Now we cut back to Xiaoyu inside the game, and her friend is asking if cutting contact with her brother was really a smart call. Her response? Apologize? She sold her life force to the Qian group for 2 million. She is not apologizing for that bag. She's bragging about the house she bought, inviting Chu Yuan to move in, and declaring that once she gets close to Shadow she won't need her brother at all. The confidence on this girl who is simultaneously planning to seduce and murder the same person is genuinely impressive. And right on cue, some dude named Zhang Wei shows up waving at Xiaoyu with the assassin's ability book she requested. Delivery service with a crush. Zhang Wei tries to remind her about a promise she made and she smiles sweetly while internally calling him a bootlicker and thinking that once Shadow notices her, she won't need to breathe the same air as trash like him. This woman collects simps like trading cards and throws them away just as fast. She immediately pivots and messages someone asking them to pass an assassin skill book to Shadow. If he wants it, she'll hand it over for free. The manipulation is already in motion, and in her head she's smirking about how useful Zhang Wei is as an errand boy, while this skill book becomes her golden ticket into Shadow's inner circle. Every move this girl makes has 3 layers of scheming underneath it. Then her fantasy kicks in and it is something else. She pictures herself at Shadow's side, healing him in battle, clearing enemies together, leveling up as a duo, making herself indispensable in every way. She imagines him slowly trusting her, maybe even treating her as his partner. And then, once she's strong enough and his usefulness runs out, she'll gut him personally and scoop out his eyes to avenge brother Zhufei. She went from girlfriend fantasy to medieval war crimes in under 3 seconds. This is genuinely the most terrifying character arc in this entire manhwa, and it belongs to a schoolgirl. But then the message comes back. The big boss says her ability book is garbage. He doesn't need it and she should keep it and sell it for cash. Xiaoyu's entire master plan just got rejected in a single sentence and her face is priceless. Now we flash back to see what Feng was actually doing while his sister was crafting her assassination manifesto. Someone screams to get out of the way and a hooded figure barely dodges in time because whatever they stumbled into is not a normal field mob. This thing is on a completely different tier and Feng knows it instantly. Survival mode activated. A massive red arthropod monster with more arms than a Hindu deity comes crashing down, blades in every hand, and the tank is screaming at everyone to run because this thing just aggroed onto them. The warrior with the shield is getting absolutely flattened, red limbs everywhere, and he can barely keep his guard up. The thing shreds through his defenses like they're made of wet paper and the damage is catastrophic. Feng presses himself against a cliff wall and identifies it, the golden arthropod. A level 8 boss. This man just walked into a raid encounter with a pickup group. And here's the problem. This boss has level 2 anti-stealth detection, which means Feng's entire assassin kit just got hard countered. In other words, against this thing, his invisibility is worthless. The one ability that makes him untouchable doesn't work here. That's like taking away Superman's flight and telling him to figure it out. The golden arthropod roars and charges with every blade swinging, and this thing has enough arms to run a sword shop. But Feng doesn't retreat. He launches forward in a blur of blue energy, closing distance instead of running from it. And the damage numbers start popping off like a slot machine. -1000, -3000, -1000 over and over and over. He is shredding this thing's health bar in real time. Feng does the math mid-fight like the absolute psychopath he is. Without stealth, his damage output drops significantly because he can't attack from outside the enemy's vision anymore. But here's where it gets filthy. His legendary Divine Salvation skill amplifies the boss's weak points by 200%, and 3 of his 9 shadow slashes landed directly on the head and heart, dealing triple weak point damage. The missing stealth bonus got replaced by pure surgical precision, and that cute mage girl watching from the sidelines realizes this is a genuine legendary skill and mutters that she needs to thank Qin Xiaoyu for it. Little does she know the person who gifted that skill book is currently plotting to murder its user. One combo from Shadow Slash just deleted a 1/6 of this level 8 boss's entire health pool. The spectators are stunned silent. Then Feng switches tools and launches a poison dart the size of a green missile straight at the arthropod's face. It drills right through the monster's skull for another chunk of damage with green toxin splashing everywhere like a chemistry experiment gone beautifully wrong. Only problem is the poison dart is still silver grade, so the damage is decent but nowhere near what it could be. Feng makes a mental note to upgrade that as soon as possible. He dances around the arthropod's strikes while mentally mapping out his skill tree, thinking he needs a higher stealth level from his profession to truly dominate these encounters. Xiaoya screams a warning from behind cover, and listen, I need to acknowledge that even in panic mode, this redhead mage is built like she was designed to make viewers lose focus during a boss fight. But Feng doesn't even flinch. That golden eye behind the mask says everything. He's already 3 steps ahead. He and the arthropod trade blows in a blur of red limbs and silver steel, every swing threading between the monster's attacks with frame-perfect precision. Xiaoya and her party are losing their minds. His speed matches the boss's, his reactions are inhuman, and he's reading every attack pattern like he wrote the code himself. It's like he already knows what it's gonna do. And that's because he does. This fool has fought this exact boss more times than he can count across an entire previous lifetime. Even with Xiaoqi at his side in his past life, they could never bring this thing down. But now he understands. This boss isn't about brute force. You have to read the rhythm, anticipate the flow. And that's why he tears into the arthropod with blue lightning arcing off every strike, declaring himself one of the top 100 strongest assassins in the world. And right now, not a single person watching would argue with that. The boss actually smirks. A level 8 golden boss just looked at Feng and laughed. That's either supreme confidence or pure denial. Feng doesn't care. Compared to nightmare bosses like the Golden Ghost ship that throw unavoidable attacks, this glorified lobster is basically target practice. Xiaoya's jaw actually drops. The golden boss, a level 8 domain monster, is running away from one player. She cannot process what she's witnessing, and honestly neither can I. Feng's eye locks on and green energy coils into his hand for the finisher. You don't run from this man. Running just means you die tired. A column of green energy punches clean through the arthropod from bottom to top like a spear through butter. Kill confirmed. 6,400 experience points, 7 evolution points, and 497 days of tradable life collected on impact. Feng stands in the aftermath soaking up the loot notifications. 28 evolution points from a single golden boss, which converts into nearly 2,000 days of tradable lifespan. This man just speedran a raid encounter like it was a daily quest. And then he notices something glowing in the wreckage. A skill book. The boss dropped a skill book, Blacklight Shield, Platinum Grade, an assassin skill that converts all dodge rate into a damage-immune shield for 8 seconds. Combined with his epic evasion gear, that's 3 layers of pure immunity. He starts calculating immediately and realizes this single drop just plugged the biggest hole in his entire build. And because Feng doesn't believe in waiting, he's going to evolve Blacklight Shield straight to epic grade right now. This man treats evolution points like loose change. 6 evolution points burned and the shield jumps to epic. 7 layers of damage reduction, 14-second duration, and the conversion rate just got absurdly efficient. Feng is now basically unkillable on a 60-second cooldown, and he's already talking about exploring high-level areas early. This is not balanced game design. He dumps another 16 evolution points into upgrading Poison Dart from Silver all the way to Emerald, doubling its damage and extending its range. Is there any currency this man won't burn through in a single sitting? On top of that, the boss dropped 2 gold-grade assassin equipment pieces. City of Lightness boots for agility and speed, plus heavy crimson leather gloves for defense and constitution. Feng equips them both without blinking, and his stat sheet just ascended to a different tax bracket. The new gear bumps his flame strength by 55%, physical damage by over 100 points, and health by 1500. His survivability went from glass cannon to armored glass cannon, and he's nodding like this is perfectly reasonable. The party members are tripping over themselves. A boss is a boss, they're saying. He really soloed it. One of them is already asking if they can buy a skill book. Xiaoya is staring with her mouth open, and respectfully, that outfit is working overtime in this desert heat. Feng pulls out a gold-grade mage skill book called Frost Ejection. It launches a bouncing ice ball that hits up to 10 times, and he's selling it for 800 days of life. The mage girl says that's too expensive. She saw a cheaper one. She's haggling with a man who could end her in one keystroke. But Feng knows this particular book scales to level 7 and gains over 40% more damage at max rank. 800 days isn't expensive. It's a steal. The man who just turned a pop idol into a memory is now running a wholesale loot shop in the desert. The mage caves and hands over 800 days of tradable life on the spot. Xiaoya is right there watching with those big eyes, and let me just say the artist put way too much love into her design for a support character, and I'm not complaining. 800 days richer, Feng disappears from the party and starts plotting. He'll spread intel in the local towns, map every golden boss spawn location, and create an infinite farm loop. This man is building a lifespan printing press, and the economy is about to feel it. Wang Meng catches up and drops an unexpected message. Someone named Qin Xiaoyu reached out through their team's healer, wanting to give Shadow a skill book. Feng's reaction? It's probably some useless bronze garbage. He tells Wang Meng to let her keep the trash. And Wang Meng, bless his confused heart, is standing there trying to figure out if Xiaoyu is trying to impress Shadow or avenge Song Fei, because those two goals seem wildly incompatible. If only he knew it was both. The message reaches Xiaoyu. The big shot says the skill is trash, and she should sell it herself. Her face goes completely blank and the background turns to ice. That is a woman whose entire seduction strategy just got rejected before it started. Meanwhile, Feng is already on to the next transaction, calling Wang Meng back to town because he's got something to sell, and Wang Meng better have lifespan ready. The grind does not stop for feelings, but then Wang Meng's tone shifts. He says he has a question for the boss, and the name that leaves his mouth changes the entire energy of the conversation. Was it you, boss, who did it? And the close-up on Feng's face behind that mask is absolutely cold. No panic, no deflection, just silence holding the weight of an answer everyone already suspects. That's right, I killed him. 2 sentences, 0 hesitation. Feng just confessed to the most high-profile murder in the world while standing in a desert in his pajama assassin robes like he's discussing the weather. Wang Meng's brain is running at full speed. He's one of Feng's closest allies, so he knows Shadow was offline from the game at the exact time Song Fei was killed in reality. The motive matches, the timeline matches. Everything fits perfectly, and Feng already knows. If Wang Meng figured it out, the authorities have too. He looks over his shoulder and says it plain. Want to arrest me? Because in 2 hours, every other player will reach level 10. Abilities will start spilling into reality everywhere, and this confession becomes the perfect test of how the entire Daxia government responds to the New World Order.